Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles. Although they were great masters, they weren't afraid of the city lord at all. This was because the tower lord, Sun Jingzhong, was also from the demon palace. Moreover, although Sun Jingzhong's cultivation was stronger than theirs, he had to listen to them. This was because they were the enforcers of the demon palace and had supreme authority. Whoosh! Sun Jingzhong flew into the sky and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. He then looked at the two enforcers inside at Shui Tianxing, follow them to the demon palace and cooperate with the investigation. The ones at fault are Su Hua and the Su family. Why should I cooperate? Shui Tianxing said angrily. Don't bite people. A man should dare to take responsibility for his actions. Su Jingshan also shouted. Damn you, I'm going to kill you. Shui Tianxing was furious and slapped towards Su Jingshan. But at this moment, Sun Jingzhong stepped in front of Su Jingshan and grabbed Shui Tianxing's wrist. He shook his head and said, Don't make it difficult for this old man. He didn't recognize Qin Feiyang. Madman, white-eyed wolf. If he did, he definitely wouldn't think so. The city lord glanced at Sun Jingzhong and Su Jingshan. He was so angry that he laughed. Your demon palace really knows how to bully people. Alright, let's go outside the city to avoid affecting the innocent. Obviously. This was the rhythm of a war. Shut up, all of you. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly shouted and landed beside Madman and White-Eyed Wolf. He looked at the two enforcers gloomily. Are you looking for death? The two raised their eyebrows. A mere small immortal realm cultivator dared to shout at them. Seeing that you're enforcers of the demon palace, I won't pursue the matter of you injuring me this time. But if there's a next time, even if the emperor comes down, I'll kill you. Qin Feiyang said word by word. Haha, how arrogant. The two enforcers laughed, but it was full of ridicule. How arrogant. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. With a flip of his hand, a token appeared in his palm. Sun Jingzhong and the two enforcers immediately looked at the token. Their laughter stopped abruptly and was slowly replaced by shock. That's right. The token that Qin Feiyang took out was the identity token that Elder Hua gave him. Shui Tianxing and the other two were also shocked. They knew that Elder Hua wanted Qin Feiyang and the others to join the demon palace, but they didn't expect him to be so generous as to give the identity token to this kid. It could be seen that Elder Hua cared about Qin Feiyang and the others. What's going on? Su Jingshan looked at their reactions and also looked at the token. His eyes were full of shock. Whose token is this? How can it make the enforcers of the demon palace so shocked? Suddenly, Sun Jingzhong quivered and looked up at Qin Feiyang, Shui Tianxing, and the white-eyed wolf. He thought to himself, could it be that you guys are, Qin Feiyang nodded. Sun Jingzhong's expression froze. He looked up at the two enforcers and said with a smile, this must be a misunderstanding. The two enforcers looked at each other, their eyes full of suspicion. Sun Jingzhong could guess the identity of Qin Feiyang and the others, but the two enforcers couldn't. This was because they didn't know the relationship between Qin Feiyang and the others and Elder Hua. Qin Feiyang kept the token. Under his deliberate concealment, only the three enforcers of the city lord and Sun Jingzhong saw the token. Qin Feiyang looked at the two enforcers and said calmly, can my words be used as evidence? The two enforcers remained silent. I saw it with my own eyes. Su Hua wasn't killed by Shui Tianxing and the others. We killed him. Qin Feiyang said. The white-eyed wolf looked at the two enforcers, pinched his nose, and nodded, yes, I killed him personally. What do you want? The two enforcers looked at Qin Feiyang, Shui Tianxing, and the white-eyed wolf with flickering eyes. You'd better not do anything to them. Otherwise, if you anger them, even I can't protect you. Sun Jingzhong transmitted his voice. Hearing this, the two enforcers' pupils shrank. They knew Sun Jingzhong well. He wasn't someone who would joke around. It seemed that this token was indeed Elder Hua's. We're sorry. We were blind before and offended you. The two enforcers looked at each other, then looked at Qin Feiyang, Zhuo Tianxing, and the white-eyed wolf and bowed. How should we deal with this matter? Qin Feiyang asked. The two enforcers immediately turned to look at Su Jingshan. Lords, I'm telling the truth. I didn't lie to you. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance really killed the innocent. Su Jingshan's expression changed as he hurriedly shouted. He never expected that a token would make the enforcers believe him. Stop quibbling. Do you know their identity? Do you know who that token belongs to? Sun Jingzhong looked at Su Jingshan and said indifferently. Identity? Su Jingshan's expression stiffened as he asked, what is their identity? They are people you can never afford to offend. Sun Jingzhong snorted coldly. Spare me. Su Jingshan immediately knelt in the void. Since Sun Jingzhong said so, the two enforcers and the dog must have a great relationship with the Demon Palace. So, you're really lying to us? The two enforcers stared at Su Jingshan gloomily. Su Jingshan's face was incomparably flustered. It's obvious. If I didn't lie, why would he be so flustered? Frenzy said indifferently. Chapter 3102. You deserve to die. The two law enforcers were furious. Their palms landed on Su Jingshan's body. Accompanied by a shrill scream, Su Jingshan was killed on the spot. When Zhuo Tianxing saw this scene, he felt a lot more comfortable. I'm sorry. We were foolish and believed his slanderous words. We even injured you. You can punish us however you want. The two enforcers turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said apologetically. Forget it. You don't know the truth. But don't be so arrogant in the future. After all, you are the enforcers of the demonic palace. Your actions represent the demonic palace. The demonic palace gave you the power not to be tyrannical, but to uphold justice and protect the people of the eastern continent. Qin Feiyang said. Thank you for your advice. We will remember it. The two enforcers bowed. All right then. Go back. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Yes. The two enforcers nodded and their attitude changed. They were respectful and opened an altar and left. Phew. Sun Jingzhong heaved a sigh of relief. It was finally resolved. Previously, he was afraid that these two law enforcers were arrogant and would find some excuse to attack Qin Feiyang and the others. The consequences would be unimaginable. The three enforcers heaved a sigh of relief. Are you all right? Zhuo Tianxing looked at Qin Feiyang with concern. I'm fine. Qin Feiyang took out a divine life pill and threw it into his mouth. Sun Jingzhong looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, then I'll take my leave. Come to the demonic palace when you're free. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. After Sun Jingzhong left, Zhuo Tianxing immediately asked, why do you have Elder Hua's identity token? He gave it to me. Qin Feiyang said. The three enforcers looked at each other. What's wrong with this? Chu Yun gave us her identity token before, but we gave it away. White-eyed Wolf said indifferently. Ugh. The three of them were stunned, not knowing what to say. With Chu Yun's status in the demonic palace, she could do whatever she wanted in the eastern continent with her identity token. But these three fellows actually gave it to someone else. Wasn't this a reckless waste of resources? Let's go down. The city lord said. The group returned to the city lord's mansion's conference hall. Who are these people? Even the enforcers of the Devil Palace are so respectful in front of them. It's not just the enforcers of the Demon Royal Halls. Look at Sun Jingzhong's attitude. It's as if he has seen some great character. As soon as Qin Feiyang and the others left, everyone started discussing in low voices. Inside the main hall, Zhuo Tianqing swallowed a divine life pill and shook his head at Qin Feiyang. It's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to figure it out even if I had 100 mouths. It's a piece of cake. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Old Zhuo, have you brought back the Su family's spirit vein and crystal vein? The city lord asked. Yes. Zhuo Tianqing nodded. Then give them all to them. Also, give them the 2000 spirit vein and crystal vein that you brought this morning. The city lord said with a smile. Okay. Zhuo Tianqing nodded straightforwardly. He walked out of the main hall and took out the spirit vein and crystal vein from the spatial divine item. Not to mention anything else, just based on the current relationship between Frenzy and Zhuo Shaoxian, he couldn't be stingy. Qin Feiyang didn't stand on ceremony and took them all. As he expected, the Su family's spirit vein and crystal vein far exceeded the Su family's. There were more than 5,000 of them. And the Su family only had 500 to 600 of them. Qin Feiyang, can you take us to your spatial divine item for a stroll? The city lord suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated. I'm really curious. What kind of spatial divine item has such a terrifying time formation? Of course, if you're still worried, just pretend I didn't say anything. The city lord smiled. Maybe in the future, there will be a chance. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Alright, I won't force you. The city lord was also very tactful and nodded with a smile. Alright then, Zhuo Xiaocheng's matter has been resolved. We'll take our leave first. Qin Feiyang looked at the three of them and said. Where are we going? Zhuo Tianqing hurriedly asked. Mount Kanglan Snow Mountain. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and opened an altar. Are you really going? Zhuo Tianqing was stunned and hurriedly said, I know I can't stop you, but before you go, you'd better change your appearance. Got it. Qin Feiyang nodded. Zhuo Tianqing said this out of consideration for the safety of the city lord mansion. Because if the deputy leader knew that they had come to the city lord mansion and helped save Zhuo Xiaocheng, he would definitely suspect their relationship. After the two people and the wolf left, the city lord couldn't help but frown. What's wrong? Zhuo Tianqing and Old Yu looked at him suspiciously. To be honest, compared to the demon palace, we have more advantages. The city lord sighed. Advantages? The two of them looked at each other, even more puzzled. Let them join our itinerant cultivator alliance. With Xiao Xian's relationship, the chances of them joining our itinerant cultivator alliance are definitely higher than the demon palace. But I just don't know what the deputy leader is thinking. He insisted on killing him. Look at it now. Things have turned out this way. The city lord looked melancholic. Zhuo Tianqing smiled and said, doesn't the deputy leader want to reconcile now? After so many things have happened, do you think Qin Feiyang and the others will reconcile with the deputy leader? In my opinion, they went to the Kanglan Snow Mountain this time to cause trouble. The city lord shook his head and sighed. If we really can't reconcile, how are we going to face Qin Feiyang and the others in the future? Zhuo Tianqing frowned. On one side was the itinerant cultivator alliance, and on the other side was his future son-in-law. It was a little uncomfortable to be sandwiched in the middle. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Perhaps there will be other possibilities in the future. The city lord shook his head. Now, he only hoped that the deputy leader could recognize the value of Qin Feiyang and the others and not make things irreparable. At the same time, outside Wind Sea City, in the sky above a mountain range, two black armored men stood side by side, holding a sound transmission god stone in their hands. Buzz! Suddenly, A shadow appeared. It was Chu Yun. "Greetings, Miss Yun." The two of them bowed. "What's the matter?" Chu Yun looked at them suspiciously. "Earlier, we saw a person in Wind Sea City. He had Elder Hua's identity token in his hand. We just wanted to confirm its authenticity." The two of them recounted the situation back then in detail. "There's no need to think about it. It must be that kid again." Chu Yun shook her head. "That kid?" The two of them were stunned and said suspiciously, "He's clearly a middle-aged man. How could he be a kid? Are you stupid? Don't you know that there's something called the illusory form pill in this world?" Chu Yun glared at the two of them in annoyance. "So that's how it is. Then who exactly is he?" The two of them were puzzled. "It doesn't matter who they are. What's important is that you're lucky that you didn't offend them. Otherwise, not to mention Elder Hua, even the Hall Master won't let you off easily. In the future, when you encounter such a thing, use your brain more. Don't be used by others again." Chu Yun said. "Yes." The two of them were shocked. Even the Hall Master wouldn't let them off easily. Then wouldn't these two people and one dog be related to the Hall Master? They rejoiced in their hearts. Fortunately, Sun Jingzhong was present. Otherwise, they would be in big trouble this time. Demon Palace. "Little Yun, you're reprimanding your subordinates again." Elder Hua happened to come to look for Chu Yun and chuckled. Chu Yun put away the divine sound transmission stone and shook her head. "It's all because of Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. What are they doing now?" Elder Hua was stunned. Chu Yun briefly explained what had happened. "Haha, this is a good thing. Because this way, they will know the importance of this old man's token. In the future, they won't be like your token and give it to others." Elder Hua laughed. "Can you not bring up the pot that doesn't boil?" Chu Yun's face darkened. When she thought of Qin Feiyang giving the token to Su Yang, she couldn't help but get angry. All right. Elder Hua waved his hand and sat on a chair at the side. He said, "I came to look for you because of Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. What's wrong?" Chu Yun was suspicious. "You should have heard the news that the deputy leader wants to reconcile with them, right?" Elder Hua said. "Yes." Chu Yun nodded. "Say, if they really reconcile with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, then wouldn't everything we've done be in vain?" Elder Hua sighed. "I don't think they'll really reconcile." Chu Yun frowned. In the past, this old man also thought the same, but this old man suddenly remembered that there is still a variable. Elder Hua said. Chu Yun was stunned and asked suspiciously, "What variable?" "Xue Shaoxian." This Xue Shaoxian is Xue Tianqing's daughter, and Xue Shaoxian and Madman Mo are in love now. I'm worried that if they really reconcile, will they join the Rogue Cultivator Alliance because of Xue Shaoxian? Elder Hua looked worried. This, Chu Yun also fell silent. Elder Hua suddenly grinned and looked at Chu Yun. "Xiao Yun, why don't you put up a honey trap or something? Get lost." Chu Yun's face instantly darkened. Seeing this, Elder Hua quickly waved his hand and said, "I'm just joking. Don't take it seriously. How can you joke like this? Old thing, you're already so old. Aren't you wicked?" Chu Yun's face was filled with anger. Elder Hua smiled embarrassedly and said, "How about this, let's persuade Xue Tianqing to join our demon hall." Chu Yun was stunned. After pondering for a while, she nodded and said, "This idea is feasible. As long as Xue Tianqing joins our demon hall, then Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo will naturally not go to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, but what?" Elder Hua looked at her in confusion. "Xue Tianqing is loyal to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Can you persuade him? Moreover, as far as I know, the city lord of Wind Sea City is Xue Shaoxian's foster father. And this city lord also dotes on her a lot. It's useless to just persuade Zhuo Tiansheng. We have to persuade him as well. Chu Yun shook her head. Nothing in this world is difficult for those who are willing. Besides, our demon hall is so much stronger than the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. As long as we let them weigh the pros and cons, they will understand. I'll leave this matter to you. Elder Hua looked at Chu Yun with a smile on his face. Me again? Chu Yun frowned. If it's not you, then it's me. This old man's old arms and legs are running around all day. Shouldn't you feel sorry for me? Besides, this is all for the good of the demon hall. In short, we have to erase all the uncertain factors in advance and hold Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo tightly in our hands. Then it's settled. Thank you for your hard work. I'll wait for your good news. Elder Hua chuckled, then turned around with his hands behind his back and leisurely walked away, leaving Chu Yun standing there alone and sulking. Ever since Qin Feiyang and Madman came to the Sky Cloud realm, they had been circling around the two of them all day long. Qin Feiyang muttered. I feel that this spirit formation is pretty strong. The Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other and quickly walked over to examine the barrier. The owner of this barrier must be the Alliance Master of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. As the Alliance Master of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, his strength must have reached the peak, which is the peak of the Dominator realm. How could the barrier he set up be weak? Quickly hide. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He grabbed the Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf, activated the concealment technique, and instantly hid in the void. What's wrong? The Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf looked at him in surprise. There's someone. Qin Feiyang stared ahead. After Qin Feiyang retracted his arm, the screen of light that appeared once again hid in the void. Shwa! About 2 to 3 breaths later, a burly figure descended on an ice mountain in front of them. It was a middle-aged man about 1.9 meters tall. Although the cold wind was bone-piercing, he was only wearing a pair of large pants, revealing his muscles that were filled with explosive power. Judging from his aura, he should be a peak dominator. The Madman transmitted. At the same time, the middle-aged man scanned the void and frowned slightly. What's going on? Previously, I clearly felt a reaction from the barrier here. Why is there nothing now? The middle-aged man muttered. Suddenly, he stepped forward and landed in front of the barrier, facing Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They were extremely nervous. Don't release your divine sense. The Madman was silently waiting in his heart. Although the concealment technique could hide them, it couldn't block divine sense. The Divine Moon Jade Pendant also couldn't. This was because the Divine Moon Jade Pendant could only block divine sense below the Dominator realm. Suddenly, the middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyang's feet. On the snow, there were many footprints. Not good. Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf's expressions changed. They could hide in the void, but they couldn't hide the footprints they left behind. They had to make a prompt decision. Qin Feiyang brought the Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf into the Black Tortoise world. He immediately controlled the Black Tortoise world and flew away without looking back. Just as Qin Feiyang's group was escaping, the middle-aged man's eyes flashed. He took out a token and pressed it against the void. The light screen appeared again and quickly cracked. Immediately after, the middle-aged man stepped out of the crack. His divine sense surged out like a tide. He actually waited until he came out before releasing his divine sense. Could it be that this barrier has the ability to isolate divine sense? The Madman looked at the middle-aged man and couldn't help but frown. In the blink of an eye, the middle-aged man's divine sense covered the sky. After all, the other party was a peak dominator. It should be able to. Because after the Black Tortoise world fused with the ancient castle, its strength is the same as the ancient castle. Right now, the ancient castle is a dominator weapon, so the black tortoise world strength is equivalent to a dominator weapon. The madman guessed. Qin Feiyang clenched his teeth and nodded. Okay, let's close the door and beat the dog. With that, he closed his eyes and released his perception. He found that many creatures in the western region were bleeding blood. Thank you for your help. There will be a great battle later. In order to avoid harming you, I'll send you out of the western region first. Qin Feiyang said in his mind, transmitting it into the minds of all the creatures. A great battle. The creatures who were bleeding couldn't help but be stunned. But before they could react, they felt their bodies lighten, and the next moment, they appeared in the other 3 regions. This way, there really wasn't a single creature in the entire western region. Qin Feiyang also retracted his perception and appeared in the sky above the western region with the madman and the white-eyed wolf. The sea of blood below surged, emitting a monstrous murderous aura. Now there's a problem. How do we get him in? If your cultivation is stronger than his, you can forcefully bring him in. But you're only at the peak of the immortal realm. The difference is too big. The white-eyed wolf frowned. That's simple. I need Snowflake's help. Qin Feiyang smiled and called Snowflake out of the land of origin. Something else? There was a trace of impatience in Snowflake's voice. The white-eyed wolf immediately said angrily, we asked you to cultivate in the land of origin, and now you're helping us do something. What's with the attitude? Okay. Please tell me what to do. Snowflake was helpless. She had no choice but to bow to these villains under the eaves. I don't have time to explain to you now. When we go out later, just do as I say. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he left the Black Tortoise realm with Snowflake. Outside. The middle-aged man was already close. Suddenly. Seeing Qin Feiyang and Snowflake appear, the man was slightly stunned. We just happened to pass by. We mean no harm. Qin Feiyang hurriedly explained, looking terrified. Passing by. When the middle-aged man heard this, he immediately sneered and said, passing by and stopping in front of the barrier? Are you stupid, or do you think I'm stupid and easy to fool? Chapter 3104. Looks like you're not stupid. Qin Feiyang laughed hoarsely. His voice was like that of an old man. You're courting death. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed coldly. His divine power surged toward Qin Feiyang and Snowflake. Qin Feiyang immediately said, open the passage to the western region. Snowflake heard him. As the space-time law emerged, a space-time passage appeared. Others couldn't enter the Black Tortoise world because of the castle. But as one of them, it naturally wouldn't stop them. The passage to the western region was quickly completed. Go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and took Snowflake to escape into the passage. Space-time teleportation. I didn't expect there to be such a heaven-defying divine artifact. But do you think it's possible to escape from under my nose? The middle-aged man smiled disdainfully. He activated the auxiliary divine technique to the extreme and instantly rushed into the space-time passage. However, when he rushed out from the other side of the space-time passage, he was stunned when he saw the boundless sea of blood around him. Where was this? Was there such a place in the eastern continent? Welcome to my world. A mocking voice sounded. The middle-aged man looked up and saw Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, and Frenzy standing in the sky. Snowflake was also floating beside Qin Feiyang. The space-time passage was also quickly closing under Snowflake's control. Who are you? The middle-aged man frowned. For some reason, when he came here, he had a bad premonition in his heart. As for Qin Feiyang's welcome to my world, he didn't take it to heart. Because many people like to call their own world in their own territory or spatial divine items. Is it important who we are? The important thing is that you're really easy to trick. It's so easy to trick you into coming here. White-eyed Wolf looked at him playfully. So what if I trick you into coming here? Do you think ants like you can kill me? The middle-aged man took a step forward. A terrifying aura suddenly rushed toward them. Clang! Snowflake shook violently. A monstrous divine power appeared and collided with the middle-aged man's aura. Suddenly, a violent gale blew in this place, and a sea of blood surged. You want to kill me with just a peak-level heaven-defying divine artifact? Naive. The middle-aged man's face was filled with disdain. A pinnacle-grade heaven-defying divine artifact was equivalent to a large success sovereign. But in comparison, heaven-defying divine artifacts were weaker. This was because hegemons at the level of mastery were in control of 4 types of laws. As for heaven-defying artifacts, although their power was comparable, they did not have an advantage in terms of laws. Therefore, if it was a real bloody battle, Snowflake might not be a match for the middle-aged man. But were there only snowflakes in the Black Tortoise realm? Of course not. Sunset Divine Bow, Sky-Breaking Halberd, Thick Earth Shield, 7-Star Rod, White Jade Sword, Black Crow Fan, Golden Scale Sword, Demon-Breaking Hammer, God-Destroying Whip, Blood Blade, these were the top 10 heaven-defying artifacts of the dragons. There was also the Fire Lotus's heaven-defying artifact, Axe. There was also Mu Tianyang's heaven-defying artifact, Blood Blade. There was also the pinnacle-level heaven-defying artifact that the madman snatched from Yi Yuan's hands, the Slaughter Magic Sword. Together with Snowflake, there were a total of 14 pinnacle-level heaven-defying artifacts. Kill him for me. Brat pointed at the middle-aged man and roared. To cultivate in the land of Source, one must first get Brat's permission. Therefore, in the eyes of these heaven-defying artifacts, Brat had more prestige than Qin Feiyang. They didn't dare to have any thoughts of disobeying him. Following Brat's roar, the 13 heaven-defying artifacts immediately awakened and joined the battlefield, crazily beating the middle-aged man together with Snowflake. There are actually so many. The middle-aged man was also dumbfounded. 1, 2, a total of 14 pinnacle-level heaven-defying artifacts, what kind of joke was this? If he didn't see it with his own eyes, who would dare to believe that a few undead realm ants actually had 14 pinnacle-level heaven-defying artifacts? Ah, screams continuously sounded. Facing absolute suppression, no matter what the middle-aged man did, he could only be beaten up. But in the blink of an eye, his entire body was covered in blood. Clang! A golden sword light shot over. This is, the middle-aged man's eyes trembled. Why did this look a bit like Qin Feiyang's heaven-defying artifact? Back then. No matter if it was the battle between the madman and Yi Yuan, or the battle between Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian, the golden scale sword had appeared. So no one was unfamiliar with the golden scale sword. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance was also the same. Although many people hadn't seen it with their own eyes back then, they had all heard of it. There were even some people who used voice transmission god stones to record the battle back then. So everyone knew about the golden scale sword. That's right. That's it. When he saw the golden scale sword clearly, the middle-aged man's eyes trembled. Didn't that mean that the two people in front of him could be Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. Who in the eastern continent didn't know that Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo had sovereign divine weapons? The fear and despair in his heart swept over him like a tide. Sovereign divine weapons. That was an insurmountable mountain. Not to mention him, even a peak dominator could only despair in the face of a sovereign divine weapon. In an instant, he didn't even have the courage to fight. The golden scale sword light was like a graceful swan as it directly entered the middle-aged man's lower abdomen. Ah, accompanied by a painful scream, the middle-aged man's sea of qi shattered on the spot, and a bloody hole appeared in his lower abdomen, blood gushing out. Done. Little Wimp smiled proudly and shouted, "Withdraw your auras, all of you." As soon as he said that, the 14 peak-level heaven-defying divine weapons immediately shut down and their auras gradually dissipated. Why do they look like a pack of wolves? Qin Feiyang, Little Wimp, and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. Originally, they wanted to fight a few rounds with this person to see how big the gap was. But they didn't expect that a group of heaven-defying divine weapons would take care of him so quickly. Although they had already expected that it would be a crushing defeat, this was too fast, wasn't it? It was as if they were beating up a child. Hurry up and deal with it. Also, don't do such stupid things in the future, or I'll throw all of you out. Little Wimp glared at Qin Feiyang, Little Wimp, and the white-eyed wolf. Understood, understood. The two men and the wolf nodded repeatedly. They were in the wrong and could only obediently take the scolding. Humph. Little Wimp snorted coldly and disappeared without a trace. But the 14 peak-level heaven-defying divine weapons didn't leave and surrounded the middle-aged man. The origin energy around the western region didn't dissipate either. Because the ripples from the battle were still there, if the origin energy were to dissipate now, the other three regions would still be destroyed. You are all peak-level heaven-defying divine weapons, you have self-respect, you have pride, why do you have to submit to them? Especially you, Magic Sword Slayer. The middle-aged man lay in the void in a sorry state, looking weakly at the 14 heaven-defying divine weapons. Magic Sword Slayer was Yi Yuan's heaven-defying divine weapon, so he naturally recognized it. Magic Sword Slayer said calmly, because they have the capital to make us follow them wholeheartedly. Capital? Just because of the sovereign divine weapon? The middle-aged man glared at Magic Sword Slayer. There are some things that you won't understand. Magic Sword Slayer replied calmly. I don't understand, but I know that the vice leader won't let a traitor like you go. The middle-aged man roared. Traitor? You're human, what right do you have to use our heaven-defying divine weapons? Magic Sword Slayer's words were full of disdain. Fine, fine, fine. We don't have the right, but Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo do. Just be their lackey. The middle-aged man sneered. You're courting death. Magic Sword Slayer was furious. A sword light appeared and rushed toward the middle-aged man with terrifying sharpness. Don't kill him yet. Qin Feiyang said. Magic Sword Slayer was stunned. He quickly dispersed the sword light and asked suspiciously, why don't you kill him? He's still useful. Qin Feiyang walked in front of the middle-aged man and said with a smile, give me the universe ring. What do you want? The middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyang warily. Just give it to me. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Magic Sword Slayer yelled. The middle-aged man glared at Magic Sword Slayer, took off the universe ring, erased the blood contract, and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang took the universe ring and dripped blood on it. He searched for a while and finally found the token. A smile appeared on his face. This was what he wanted. Are there any other treasures inside? The white-eyed wolf looked at the universe ring in Qin Feiyang's hand. Take it and look for it yourself. Qin Feiyang threw the universe ring to the white-eyed wolf. He was not interested in anything else. Chapter 3105. White-eyed wolf grabbed the yin and yang ring and checked it expectantly. Madman glanced at the token in Qin Feiyang's hand and chuckled, then we can easily enter the Alliance capital now. You want to go to the Alliance capital? The middle-aged man heard this and looked at the two in shock. Why? We can't go. Madman glanced at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man sized up the two and shook his head, I really admire your guts. Are you guys Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo? Isn't this obvious? Madman gave a mocking smile. It really is you guys. Why are you going to the Alliance capital? Are you here to reconcile? The middle-aged man was suspicious. Are you stupid? If we were here to reconcile, would we be so sneaky? Madman was speechless. Then what are you guys doing? The middle-aged man was bewildered. I am a bit confused. You are about to die, and instead of worrying about yourself, you are worried about our goal. Are you really not afraid of death? Madman looked at the middle-aged man with an evil gaze. The middle-aged man shivered. That's right. He couldn't even protect himself, so why would he care about this? I am a very easy person to talk to. As long as you agree to follow me, I will let you live. Qin Feiyang smiled at the middle-aged man. Follow you? The middle-aged man was stunned and said in a deep voice, You want me to betray the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? Yes. I want you to betray the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. There is a good saying, a wise man submits to circumstances. It wasn't easy for you to reach the large success stage, so you should cherish your little life. I will give you 10 breaths of time to consider. Qin Feiyang said and looked at the middle-aged man silently. The middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo before looking at the 14-peak great heaven-defying divine artifacts. His expression was filled with struggle. Although he had not come into contact with Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo, from the matter of them killing Yi Yuan, he could tell that they were not afraid of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. If he didn't agree, there would be no way for him to live today. Just as Qin Feiyang had said, it was indeed not easy to reach the level of a sovereign. It was incomparably difficult to thoroughly comprehend the power of every law. Who would be willing to die like this? However, if he really betrayed the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, he would definitely be hunted down and retaliated by the Rogue Cultivator Alliance in the future. As a senior figure of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, he understood the terror of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance better than anyone else. Once they found out that he had betrayed them, they would hunt him down endlessly. They might even implicate his family. He couldn't afford to pay such a price. 10 breaths are up. Give me an answer. Qin Feiyang said. Who? The middle-aged man took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. Kill me. Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other. Are they really not afraid of death? I'm afraid of death, but I'm more afraid of implicating my family. Because my family is in the Alliance capital. If I were to join you, the Vice-Alliance Master would not let my family off. The middle-aged man said expressionlessly. If he were to join Qin Feiyang, he and his family would be hunted down and retaliated against. If he were to die for his loyalty, although he would die, he could at least protect his family. Furthermore, seeing how loyal he was, the upper echelons of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance would definitely take care of his family in the future. After weighing the pros and cons, he chose to die himself. Qin Feiyang said in surprise, I didn't expect you to be a man who cares so much about his family. The middle-aged man said indifferently, Don't say so much. If you want to kill me, do as you wish. You have quite a backbone. All right. Qin Feiyang grabbed the slaughter magic sword and slashed at the middle-aged man's head. But even so, the middle-aged man didn't frown. The slaughter magic sword stopped above the middle-aged man's head and cut off a few strands of his hair. Sensing that the slaughter magic sword hadn't landed for a long time, the middle-aged man opened his eyes suspiciously and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He put down the slaughter magic sword and said, What if I tell you that I can save your family? Save my family. The middle-aged man's heart trembled. If I save your family, will you serve me wholeheartedly? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded without hesitation. As long as he could save his family from disaster, he was willing to do anything. All right. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the slavery seal appeared, and said, Accept my control first, and when I enter the Alliance capital, I will bring your family to the Black Tortoise realm. However, hearing this, the middle-aged man hesitated. Because once he was controlled by Qin Feiyang, what would happen in the future would not be something he could decide. If you don't agree, I will kill you and tell the vice leader that you betrayed the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Although what I said is a lie, the vice leader will definitely take it seriously. At that time, your family will still not be able to escape death. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. You, the middle-aged man glared at Qin Feiyang. What? You want to scold me for being despicable? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Not only despicable, you are simply shameless, scum, you will die a horrible death. The middle-aged man roared. You can scold me however you want, you have no choice anyway. Qin Feiyang said. The middle-aged man stared at Qin Feiyang, his eyes filled with helplessness and resentment. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the slavery seal immediately entered the middle-aged man's head. Aren't you afraid that he will resist? Frenzy was shocked. He is a family man, so he knows what to do. Qin Feiyang thought. Sure enough, the middle-aged man struggled for a moment before giving up, and the slavery seal was successfully completed. I have to remind you. The slavery seal can not only ignore distance and instantly erase your divine soul, but it can also peek into your inner thoughts, so you better not play any tricks. Qin Feiyang smiled. What? Ignore distance, peek into your inner thoughts, the middle-aged man's face suddenly turned pale. He never thought that this kind of control secret technique would be so terrifying. Don't be so nervous, as long as you work for me wholeheartedly, not only will I not do anything to you, but I will also treat you as a friend. I am like this. If you treat me well, I will repay you 100 times, 1,000 times, but if you dare to go against me, then my means are not to be trifled with. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. I don't dare. The middle-aged man quickly shook his head, and his expression became respectful. All right, what's your name? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Zhao Eryong. The middle-aged man hurriedly replied. The white-eyed wolf asked curiously, then, Little Brave, what kind of laws have you grasped? Little Brave? The middle-aged man was stunned. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, to the people around him, the white-eyed wolf calls him that. To him, this is a kind of affectionate name. The middle-aged man smiled bitterly. This could be called affectionate. I have grasped the laws of wind, force, darkness, light, and now, I have comprehended the law of water, and I have comprehended the first profound. Zhao Eryong spoke with a trace of pride between his brows. Having grasped 5 types of laws, he indeed had the qualifications to be proud. Then, when you completely comprehend the law of water, will you be able to break through to perfect dominator? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. Zhao Eryong nodded. A quasi-perfect dominator, in that case, we can be considered to have picked up a big bargain. Qin Feiyang looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf in astonishment. It is indeed a big bargain. The madman nodded with a smile. Since Zhao Eryong had already grasped the law of water, it was only a matter of time before he stepped into perfect dominator. You are indeed not bad. But don't think that just because you have the qualifications to step into perfect dominator, you can bare your fangs and brandish your claws in front of us. What we need is companions and support, not someone who thinks he is infallible. In short, for someone who can't be of the same mind as us, even if he is a peerless monster, I won't care. Qin Feiyang looked at Zhao Eryong and warned. Yes. Zhao Eryong hurriedly withdrew his arrogant expression. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, besides, you don't have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of us. When Zhao Eryong heard this, he was somewhat unconvinced. It was fine to talk about other things, but when it came to this, why didn't he, who grasped 5 types of laws, have the qualifications to be arrogant? You want to know? Look at my senior brother, he is only at the small success imperishable realm, but he has already grasped 4 types of laws. When he breaks through to the large success dominator, what kind of achievements do you think he will have? Qin Feiyang pointed at the madman and said indifferently. What? You have grasped 4 types of laws. Zhao Eryong looked at the madman in shock. Didn't he hear that this kid only grasped the law of slaughter? What you have seen and heard is only the tip of the iceberg. Do you know how many types of laws old Qin has grasped? If I say it, you will be scared to death. He has grasped 7 types of laws. The madman had a look of contempt. 7. Zhao Eryong's expression froze as he looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. 7 types of laws, heavens, is he still human? Other youngsters only began to comprehend the power of laws after stepping into perfect imperishable realm. But these 2 youngsters in front of him, one grasped 4 types of laws, and the other grasped 7 types of laws. What were those so-called monstrous geniuses famous in the eastern continent in front of these 2? Dog fart. Terrifying. To be able to comprehend so many types of laws at such a young age, his future achievements were unimaginable. Only then did he realize what kind of people the vice leader had offended. If they were to grow up, not to mention their rogue cultivator alliance, even the demon hall wouldn't be able to stop their sharpness. Chapter 3106. This time, Zhao Eryong was completely convinced. Compared to these 2 young people, his achievements were nothing to be proud of. The other party was just keeping a low profile and didn't want to attract attention. Otherwise, he would have long become a hot genius in the eastern continent. Let's go. Madman said. He couldn't wait to go to the alliance capital. Qin Feiyang nodded and led the 2 and the white-eyed wolf out of the black tortoise world. Soon. They returned to the front of the barrier. Qin Feiyang took out the token and pressed it against the barrier. A crack immediately appeared silently. Immediately. The 3 people and 1 wolf stepped into the barrier. It was still cold inside the barrier. At a glance, there were glaciers everywhere. However, when they entered the barrier, Qin Feiyang could feel the rich energy of the spirit vein and crystal vein, which was several times stronger than outside. How many spirit vein and crystal vein are there underground? Madman looked at the glaciers under his feet, his eyes flashing. Don't be impulsive. What is this bit of spirit vein and crystal vein? If we want to do it, we have to do it big. The white-eyed wolf laughed. Zhao Eryong looked at Madman and the white-eyed wolf, the corner of his mouth twitching. So they were here to rob. Sure enough, as the rumor said, these were a few lawless lords. Madman turned to look at Zhao Eryong and said unhappily, Eryong, why aren't you leading the way? Zhao Eryong was taken aback and shook his head, I can't leave here. Why? Madman was suspicious. I was ordered to guard this place. Without special circumstances, I can't leave my post. Zhao Eryong said. I see. Madman nodded and asked, how many people like you are there? There are a total of 10 people. They are guarding the 10 directions of the Azure Wave Snow Mountain. Their cultivation is the same as mine. Zhao Eryong said. Madman was taken aback and asked doubtfully, so, you are the only one here? Yes. Zhao Eryong nodded. Madman thought for a while and asked, how far is this place from the alliance capital? Zhao Eryong thought for a moment and said, with your current cultivation, you should need an hour to reach the alliance capital. Madman looked at Qin Feiyang and said, then let's directly activate the altar and go over. No. It's impossible to activate the altar within this barrier. Even the laws of space and time won't work. Zhao Eryong hurriedly said. 2 people and 1 wolf looked at him in surprise. Zhao Eryong said, because this barrier is formed from the laws of space and time. Evolved from the laws of spacetime, the 2 humans and 1 wolf looked up at the sky, a trace of relief in their eyes. Fortunately, they did not barge in directly. Otherwise, they would be like turtles in a jar, unable to escape even if they had wings. Not even a space-time teleportation divine artifact. Madman looked at Zhao Eryong and asked. None of them. Unless your comprehension of the space-time laws surpasses the Alliance Masters. Zhao Eryong shook his head. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He frowned and said, so, this barrier was set up by your Alliance Master himself? That's right. Although the overall strength of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance can't compare to super forces like Demon Palace and Blood Palace, the Alliance Master's comprehension of the laws of space and time is recognized as the #1 person in the entire Sky Cloud realm. In other words, no one in the entire Sky Cloud realm can force their way into this barrier. Of course, excluding sovereign divine weapons. Zhao Eryong explained. Recognized as the #1 person. No wonder even Elder Hua felt a headache when mentioning this. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang muttered and looked down at the token in his hand. That thing was even more important. Because this was the only key to leave the barrier. Zhao Eryong glanced at the token and said, you have to return this token to me. Return it to you? Qin Feiyang frowned. Yes. There are often people coming in and out of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. They all need this token. If I can't take it out when the time comes, it will definitely arouse suspicion. Moreover, losing this token is also a great crime. Zhao Eryong said. Madman raised his eyebrows and said, could it be that you're the only one in the entire Rogue Cultivator Alliance with this token? That's not it. The 10 people guarding the border have one each. The Vice Alliance leader and the 10 elders also have one each. Other than that, no one else has one. Therefore, if others want to enter or leave the Azure Wave Snow Mountain, they have to pass through here. If someone really comes back from the outside, or if someone has something to do and I can't open the barrier, how will I explain it to them? Zhao Eryong had a difficult expression. Madman sized up Zhao Eryong and transmitted his voice, Old Qin, did he say anything? No. Qin Feiyang secretly said. He had been peeking into Zhao Eryong's heart. These were all from the bottom of his heart and weren't fake. But now. He really needed this token. If he entered the Alliance capital and something happened, he could escape immediately with this token. If he returned it to Zhao Eryong, then he would have to come back to find him. It would take an hour to reach the Alliance capital. In an emergency, an hour was very long and many variables could happen during this time. Quickly give me the token and then hide. Suddenly. Zhao Eryong seemed to have noticed something and turned his head to the front. He was shocked and hurriedly transmitted his voice to the 2 people and 1 wolf. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and followed Zhao Eryong's gaze. There was a trace of suspicion in his eyes. But soon. He sensed more than a dozen auras rushing over. Qin Feiyang quickly returned the token to Zhao Eryong and then entered the Black Tortoise realm with Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf. After a few breaths. More than a dozen young men and women flew through the air and landed in front of Zhao Eryong. They bowed and said, Greetings, Lord Zhao. Are you going out? Zhao Eryong sized up the dozen people and asked. Yes. We want to go out and train. The dozen people nodded. Their cultivation wasn't bad, between the half-step invincible realm and the greater success realm. Then be careful. Also, don't provoke Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo, after all, the Vice Alliance leader has already released the news of reconciliation with them. Zhao Eryong warned. Even Brother Yi Tian isn't their match, how would we dare to provoke them? Don't worry. The dozen people smiled bitterly. That's good. Zhao Eryong turned around and used the token to open the barrier. After the dozen people left the barrier and disappeared at the end of the glacier, Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf appeared. You saw it too, right? The token must be in my hands, otherwise, when the higher-ups investigate, I will definitely die. At the same time, it will also make them suspicious. Will the token fall into the hands of criminals? This way, the entire alliance capital will be under martial law. At that time, it will be impossible for you to sneak in. Zhao Eryong said. All right then. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's the most sensible thing to do. Because of the existence of the barrier, no one will think that you can sneak in, so as long as you hide a little, you can enter and leave the alliance capital as you wish. Zhao Eryong said as he took out 2 tokens. The 2 tokens were only the size of a baby's palm and were completely white. There was a large black word engraved on it, Alliance. This is the identity token of a member of the Alliance capital. Take this identity token and no one will stop you from entering the Alliance capital. Zhao Eryong said as he handed the 2 tokens to Qin Feiyang and Madman. Where's brother? The white-eyed wolf glanced at Madman and Qin Feiyang before asking Zhao Eryong. There are no berserk beasts. Also, the Alliance capital doesn't allow berserk beasts to enter, so you better not follow them. Zhao Eryong said. This is discrimination. The white-eyed wolf immediately glared at Zhao Eryong. This is the rule set by the higher-ups. It's useless to glare at me. Zhao Eryong smiled bitterly. Madman chuckled and said, then brother wolf, you can go back to the black tortoise world. I'll go, I'm still thinking of going to cultivate. The white-eyed wolf coldly snorted. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled as he sent the white-eyed wolf back to the black tortoise world. Zhao Eryong looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman and said, these 2 tokens still need to be engraved with your names. Just think of a name. Got it. Qin Feiyang and Madman nodded. Also, Zhao Eryong waved his hand and condensed 3 figures. One of them was a middle-aged woman about 40 years old. She looked dignified and virtuous. The other 2 were a man and a woman. They both looked young. The young man was about 1.8 meters tall. His body was also quite strong. He had short black hair and there was an inconspicuous scar at the corner of his eye. As for the young woman, she was about 20 years old. She was about 1.7 meters tall. She had an exquisite figure and an outstanding appearance. She wore a set of tight black clothes. Her long black hair was tied together. She looked valiant and youthful. They are my wife and children. They live in the suburbs of the Alliance capital's East City. I can be considered a little famous in the Alliance capital. You will know when you ask around. Please, you must take them away. Zhao Eryong looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman with a pleading look. What are their names? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. My wife is called Wang Shui. My son and daughter are called Zhao Yang and Zhao Xiaojin respectively. Zhao Eryong said. Wang Shui, Zhao Yang, Zhao Xiaojin, Qin Feiyang muttered and nodded, I will remember. Then I wish you all a safe journey. Zhao Eryong cupped his hands. The 2 of them looked at each other and smiled. They consumed an illusory form pill and transformed into 2 young men. Next. Madman waved his hand and a name appeared on the token. Mo Wuhui. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang also casually thought of a name and engraved it. Mo Wuyuan. You are taking advantage of me? Madman raised his eyebrows. N. Qin Feiyang was stunned. You don't know that my foster father is called Mo Wuyuan. If you are not taking advantage of me, what is? Madman said angrily. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned and smiled, I really didn't think of it. I just thought of it in passing. Change it immediately. Madman's face was black. No. Once this name is engraved, it can't be changed because there can't be any traces of modification. Zhao Eryong hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and smiled, you heard it, right? It can't be changed. Then give me another token. Madman looked at Zhao Eryong and said. Do you think this is a radish or cabbage? These 2 empty tokens were left behind when I used to work in the duty hall. This thing can't be taken casually. Zhao Eryong was speechless. When Madman heard this, he glared at Qin Feiyang again. Isn't it just a name? Besides, your foster father is called Mo Wuyuan. My current name is Mo Wuyuan. There is a difference of 1 word. Qin Feiyang said. Don't they have the same meaning? Madman said angrily. One is the origin of the source, the other is the fate of fate. How can they have the same meaning? Qin Feiyang was helpless. He put away the command token, soared into the sky, turned around, and flew forward. Stop, let's make it clear first. Madman let out a furious roar and charged towards Qin Feiyang at lightning speed. Looking at the back of the 2, Zhao Eryong couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. But soon, his face was full of worry. He hoped that nothing unexpected would happen. Otherwise, not only would he be finished, his family would also suffer. Chapter 3107. Along the way, they encountered all sorts of beasts. Sovereign realm beasts were everywhere, but none of them attacked Qin Feiyang. It was indeed as Zhao Eryong said. With the barrier set up by the Alliance head, be it the people from the Wandering Cultivator Alliance or the beasts here, they wouldn't expect anyone to sneak in. Then, they would naturally think that Qin Feiyang and Madman were from the Alliance capital. Not long later. The 2 of them met many people. Some were in groups of 3 to 5 while some were walking alone. They were basically there to train. When they saw Madman and Qin Feiyang, regardless of whether they knew them or not, they would greet them from afar. Qin Feiyang was surprised. The people from the Wandering Cultivator Alliance seemed to be quite harmonious. Harmonious? How many people have you seen so far? We will only know when we enter the Alliance capital if they are really harmonious. Madman pouted and then said, don't change the topic. Taking advantage of me, I am not done with you. Don't be so petty. When I thought of this name, I really didn't have any other thoughts. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Only a fool would believe your nonsense. Madman snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang was speechless. He really didn't mean it. Why didn't he believe him? He wasn't a kid, so was there a need to take advantage of him? An hour quickly passed. A majestic ancient city finally entered their line of sight. The city covered an area of tens of thousands of miles, and was divided into 5 districts, namely the East District, West District, South District, North District, and Central District. Compared to the ice and snow outside the city, the inside was completely different. Flowers bloomed like brocade, and there were layers upon layers of trees. It was a scene of spring. On the street, there was an endless stream of people and carriages. It was extremely lively. The city gate that Qin Feiyang and Li Qiye were at was the Eastern City Gate. In front of the gate, there was a stone tablet that was hundreds of feet tall. There were 2 grand words carved on it, Alliance Capital. This is the Alliance Capital. I am really looking forward to it. Madman muttered. In front of the gate, there were no guards. There were all kinds of people, but even so, everyone consciously maintained order and entered the city in an orderly manner. There aren't even guards. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Wrong. Look at the city wall. Madman glanced at the city wall above the city gate with a trace of seriousness in his eyes. Qin Feiyang raised his head to look, and his pupils immediately shrank. A black-haired old man sat cross-legged on top of the city wall. His eyes were slightly narrowed, and his entire body was emitting a suffocating pressure. Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo could not see through his cultivation at all. However, from the aura he emitted, they could tell that the old man's cultivation was stronger than Zhao Eryong's, but slightly weaker than Elder Hua's. Obviously. The old man was an unparalleled peak dominator. A peak dominator is definitely more effective than a guard. The Alliance capital is heaven for the members of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, but it's a tiger's den for us. Madman thought. Even if it's a dragon's lair or a tiger's den, I still have to go. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He followed Madman into the back of the crowd and entered the city. The moment they passed through the city gate and entered the city, a warm current rushed toward them. Compared to the bone-chilling weather outside, the city was extremely comfortable. A light breeze blew over, like a spring breeze caressing his face. "Brother, come in and take a look. We have good jade, beauty, we have many exquisite accessories in our shop. Come in and take a look." There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the street, and the items inside were dazzling. Some were hawking, some were bargaining, and it was extremely lively. From the looks of it, it is quite harmonious. Madman muttered. Who cares if it's harmonious or not? Sense it carefully. The crystal vein and soul-line energy in the city is many times denser than outside. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Madman was slightly taken aback. He carefully sensed it, and his eyes flashed. Let me check with my divine sense. Are you crazy? There are so many people and you dare to release your divine sense. Qin Feiyang glared at him. Releasing one's divine sense in such a place would definitely attract the attention of others. Madman's expression froze, and he smiled embarrassedly. Sorry, I was too excited and didn't think of it. Let's find Zhao Eryong's family first, then discuss the next step of the plan. Qin Feiyang secretly said. He grabbed a young man next to him and smiled. Brother, where is Lord Zhao Eryong's home? Zhao Eryong. The young man was slightly taken aback. After thinking for a while, he asked, Are you talking about the Zhao Eryong who guards the border? Yes, yes, yes. We came from the West City, so we don't know the exact location of Lord Zhao's home. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lord Zhao's home is in the suburbs. Keep walking down the street on the left. When you see a quiet courtyard, you can ask someone. The young man smiled. Thank you, brother. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. You're welcome. The young man waved his hand and turned to leave. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and also turned to the left street. They didn't stop on the road. After traveling for more than 100 miles, the number of people on the street gradually decreased. The shops on both sides also gradually decreased. A moment later. Finally. They saw a secluded courtyard. Individual courtyards were neatly arranged. Each courtyard was surrounded by wooden fences. Some courtyards were planted with fruit trees. The red fruits emitted a faint fruit fragrance. Some courtyards were planted with flowers and plants. There were about 10,000 courtyards in the entire area. There were trees on both sides of the road. There were children playing on the side of the road. There were old people sitting in the shade drinking tea, playing chess, and chatting. It was exceptionally peaceful. Qin Feiyang walked to the side of two old men playing chess and looked at the chessboard curiously. One of the old men was full of smiles. The other old man had a worried look. The smiling old man said, Can you do it? If you can't, just admit defeat. Shut up, don't disturb my thoughts. The worried-looking old man glared at the old man without hiding anything. This is already a dead end, what are you still thinking about? The smile on the old man's face became wider. Haven't you heard of coming back from the dead? The worried old man glared at the other party again and then continued to look at the chessboard. Suddenly. Qin Feiyang said, although it seems to be a dead end, it's not that there's no chance. The two old men were slightly stunned. They raised their heads and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Two elders, can this junior make a move? Do you know how to? The smiling old man looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. If this little brother doesn't know how to, do you dare to speak? The worried old man glared at the smiling old man, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Little brother, let me see if you can help me revive this chessboard." Qin Feiyang nodded. After carefully observing for a while, he picked up a black chess piece and placed it somewhere on the chessboard. Immediately, a dead-end game was revived just like that. The smiling old man's expression froze. The worried old man was also stunned, and then he clapped his hands and applauded, "Put yourself in a dead end and fight to live, this move is wonderful." Then he raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang, and praised, "Little brother, I really didn't know that you were proficient in this." No. It's just that when I was bored as a child, I played with my father." Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. As the prince of the great Qin, he was naturally proficient in everything. It's indeed amazing. The smiling old man nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile, "Then let's play a few games." No. This junior still has something to deal with, so I won't disturb you two elders. This junior just wants to ask, where is Lord Zhao Eryong's home? Qin Feiyang said. The two of them were slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, "Who are you to Zhao Eryong?" Qin Feiyang smiled calmly and said, "I am Zhao Yang's friend, I came from the West City to look for him." So it's like that. Compared to you, that brat Zhao Yang is far inferior. The two of them shook their heads. Why do you say that? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Aren't you his friend? Don't you know that he is a loafer with nothing to do? All you know is to follow a group of scoundrels, eat, drink, and play all day long. The two of them shook their heads. Everyone has their own good. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Their house is in the first house at the intersection ahead, you can go and find it yourself. The smiling old man said. Thank you. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and thanked him, then followed the madman and left quickly. Why is such a polite young man hanging out with a scum like Zhao Yang? The smiling old man looked at Qin Feiyang's back, shook his head, and sighed. Why do you care so much about young people's affairs? Hurry up, it's your turn, this time I will definitely beat you, old man. The worried old man was no longer worried, and his face was full of a smug smile. Dozens of breaths later, Qin Feiyang and the madman walked to the intersection and looked at both sides. Above the door of the courtyard on the left, the words Zhao House were engraved. It should be here. The madman looked at the courtyard. The courtyard covered an area of about 300 feet, surrounded by high wooden fences, and there were a few peach trees planted inside. Some of the peaches had matured and were bright red. On the side, there was a pavilion with carved beams and painted rafters, quite exquisite. Inside, there was a 3-story loft. The gate of the courtyard was closed. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and gently knocked on the gate of the courtyard. Who is it? After a while, a woman came out of the attic. The woman was wearing a white long dress, her long hair was tied up, looking dignified and elegant. That's right. She was Zhao Eryong's wife, Wang Shui. Creak. When the gate of the courtyard opened, Wang Shui looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman, her expression was slightly stunned, and asked suspiciously, "You are?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "We were asked by Lord Zhao Eryong to come and find you." Wang Shui was slightly stunned, and quickly retreated to the side, saying, "Come in and talk." The two nodded and entered the courtyard. After Wang Shui closed the gate, she led the two into the attic hall and said with a smile, "Wait a moment, I'll make a pot of tea." No need to be so troublesome. Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand. All right then. Wang Shui nodded, and then asked nervously, "Did something happen to Eryong?" "Madam, don't be nervous, Zhao Eryong is fine." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Chapter 3108. It really scared me to death. I thought something had happened to him. Wang Shui heaved a sigh of relief and asked with a smile, "How should I address you?" "My name is Mo Wuji." "His name is Mo Wuhui." Qin Feiyang laughed. "You are brothers?" Wang Shui looked at the two of them curiously. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Who is your brother?" Madman secretly stared at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang ignored him and scanned the hall. He looked at Wang Shui and asked, "Where is your son Zhao Yang and your daughter Zhao Xiaojin? Why don't I see them?" "Xiaojin is cultivating upstairs. As for Yang, at this point, Wang Shui revealed a worried look and said, "I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. That good-for-nothing brat, who knows where he is fooling around now?" "Good for nothing?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Could it be that he was a delinquent youth? He asked, "Then can we find him now?" Wang Shui hesitated for a moment, then stood up and smiled, "Then wait a moment, I'll get Xiaojin to send a message to him." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded. Wang Shui turned around and quickly went upstairs. She walked to a door and gently knocked on it. "I'm here." A clear and pleasant voice came from inside. Wang Shui pushed the door open and entered. She saw a young woman with a hot figure, dressed in tight clothes, sitting cross-legged on a praying mat. "Mother, what's the matter?" Zhao Xiaojin looked at Wang Shui suspiciously. Wang Shui closed the door and said in a low voice, "There are two strange young people outside. They are asking around. I have to send a message to your father to confirm." "Strange people?" Zhao Xiaojin was startled and immediately stood up. Wang Shui took out the sound transmission crystal. Buzz. Not long later, Zhao Eryong's figure appeared. Seeing that it was Wang Shui, Zhao Eryong understood and asked, "Are there two young people called Mo Wuhui and Mo Wuji who came to our house?" "Yes. I was just about to ask you, who are they?" Wang Shui nodded. "Why do women ask so much? You just have to remember, whatever they say, you just have to do." Zhao Eryong said. "Father, you don't look too good. Did something happen?" Zhao Xiaojin suddenly asked. "You're as talkative as your mother." Zhao Eryong glared at Zhao Xiaojin. "Mom gave birth to me. If I'm not like Mom, then who am I like?" Zhao Xiaojin pouted. All right. Zhao Eryong shook his head helplessly and sighed, "Anyway, just listen to them. Don't make this matter public, or it will bring us a lot of trouble." "All right." Both mother and daughter nodded. "So be it." Finished speaking, Zhao Eryong turned off the sound-transmitting god stone. "Mother, why is it that the more I look at father's face, the more I feel that something is wrong?" Zhao Xiaojin looked at Wang Shui suspiciously. "I also feel that it's a little strange. But your father is definitely doing this for our own good. All right, let's go down together and find your useless brother." Wang Shui shook her head and walked out of the room with Zhao Xiaojin, returning to the hall. Wang Shui looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Xiaojin, it's them. Who exactly are you guys? What's your relationship with my father?" Zhao Xiaojin walked to the opposite side of Qin Feiyang and sized them up and asked suspiciously. "Xiaojin, don't be rude." Wang Shui hurriedly reprimanded. "Looking at their age, they are about the same as me. Do you want me to be respectful and polite to them?" Zhao Xiaojin pouted. Wang Shui helplessly glared at Zhao Xiaojin, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "I'm sorry, my daughter doesn't know how to be polite. It's okay, she's very straightforward. I quite like it." Madman grinned. "Like it? Who wants you to like it? Don't talk nonsense. If others hear it, they will think that there is some unknown relationship between us." Zhao Xiaojin glared fiercely at Madman. "Ah. Madman was stunned. Qin Feiyang, on the other hand, had a smile on his face. This little girl was quite interesting. Wang Shui shook her head helplessly and said, "Xiao Jin, don't mess around. Hurry up and contact your brother." "No." Zhao Xiaojin shook her head and looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "If you guys don't make it clear, I won't do anything." "Up to you." Madman shrugged. Anyway, he wouldn't be the unlucky one. There was no hurry at all. "You," Zhao Xiaojin glared at Madman. "That. Miss Xiaojin, we were entrusted by your father, so don't make things difficult for us." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Then what exactly is it?" "I have a feeling that it's not that simple." Zhao Xiaojin was suspicious. "That's what it is. In short, if you don't do as we say, I'm afraid your family will be in danger." Qin Feiyang said. "What danger?" Zhao Xiaojin was shocked. "The danger of losing your life." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Don't scare me, I'm not scared. Besides, my father guarded the border. Even if he didn't have any merits, he still worked hard. How can we be in danger?" Zhao Xiaojin had a look of disbelief. "I say, woman, why are you so long-winded? If I tell you to contact him, do you believe that I won't beat you up?" Madman raised his eyebrows. "Beat me up?" Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. He looked at the madman in dissatisfaction and said, Come. I want to see if you have the ability." The corner of Madman's mouth twitched. What kind of woman is this? Can't she act like a woman? Qin Feiyang sized up Zhao Xiaojin with a trace of surprise in his eyes. He was wondering why Zhao Xiaojin was so confident. It turned out that she had a perfect undead stage cultivation base. This cultivation base was stronger than him and Madman. It was really amazing for a woman to be so strong. "Why? You don't dare. Let me tell you, I'm a famous genius girl in the Alliance. Why would I be afraid of you?" Zhao Xiaojin had a look of disdain. Madman's face darkened. She's still going strong. Genius girl. It was obvious that she had big breasts but no brain. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but glance at Zhao Xiaojin's chest. It was really quite big, like two majestic mountains, trembling. "What are you looking at?" Zhao Xiaojin noticed the madman's strange gaze and immediately covered her chest as she shouted angrily. Seeing this, Wang Shui's face also had a trace of displeasure towards Madman. Cough cough. Madman coughed and looked at Wang Shui with an awkward expression. "That. Auntie, we still have things to do. Hurry and contact Zhao Yang." Wang Shui sighed and looked at Zhao Xiaojin. "Xiaojin, don't forget your father's previous instructions. Hurry and contact your brother." Humph. Zhao Xiaojin and the others snorted and took out the voice transmission god stone. "We can't afford to offend this woman." Madman shook his head. "Isn't that obvious?" Qin Feiyang smiled secretly and then said to himself, "However, while the elder brother is fooling around outside, the younger sister is cultivating hard at home. I guess this Zhao Yang can't even catch up with 1/10 of his younger sister. Then aren't we wasting time?" Madman frowned. "There's no other way. I've been entrusted with this matter. We can't just leave him alone." Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Buzz. At this time, a shadow appeared. It was Zhao Yang. At this moment, he was sitting in a restaurant, eating and drinking with a few young men of the same age. There were even girls beside him, and he was having a good time. Feng Chen Tower again? Zhao Xiaojin frowned. "Damn girl, it's none of your business." Zhao Yang glared at Zhao Xiaojin and asked impatiently, "What's the matter?" Zhao Xiaojin said expressionlessly, "Nonsense, why would I send a message to a scum like you?" "Haha, Xiaojin, how can a sister scold her brother like that? If others hear this, won't they laugh at your brother? The few young men beside her laughed happily as they looked at Zhao Xiaojin. You have the face to speak. You're all a bunch of scum, and you're still afraid of being heard. Why don't you go and ask, who doesn't know what kind of trash you are? Zhao Xiaojin was completely merciless. The few young men didn't take it seriously at all, as if they were already used to Zhao Xiaojin's attitude. Yes, yes, yes. We're all scum, genius girl, what do you want? Zhao Yang asked impatiently. Come back immediately. Zhao Xiaojin said. What? Zhao Yang frowned. Come back first. Zhao Xiaojin said. Boring. Zhao Yang glared at Zhao Xiaojin and directly turned off the sound transmission god stone. Bastard, you actually dare to turn off the sound transmission god stone, I must beat you to death today. Zhao Xiaojin immediately cursed. Cough cough. Xiaojin, watch your temper, there are still guests here. Wang Shui hurriedly comforted her, looking at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Yang with an extremely awkward gaze. Watch what? My temper is this bad. If you don't like it, don't look. Zhao Xiaojin glared at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Yang. Why are you glaring at us? Madman raised his eyebrows. She's indeed hot-tempered. Qin Feiyang secretly laughed. To put it nicely, she's hot-tempered, but to put it bluntly, she's a tigress. Madman pursed his lips. Wang Shui looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Yang and smiled apologetically, sorry for making a fool of myself. It's fine, it's fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. At this moment, Zhao Xiaojin kept the sound transmission god stone and walked outside. Xiaojin, where are you going? Wang Shui hurriedly asked. Mother, don't stop me, this time I have to beat him up no matter what. Lazy and idle, worse than a pig, it doesn't matter if he embarrasses himself, but don't embarrass father and you. After saying that, Zhao Xiaojin walked out without looking back. Sigh. Wang Shui sighed, her face full of helplessness. Madman turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, then what should we do? Wait. Qin Feiyang shook his head. How troublesome. If he knew that Zhao Eryong's children were so troublesome, he wouldn't have bothered with this matter. Two little brothers, I'm really sorry. Wang Shui once again looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Yang apologetically. It's fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said with a smile, I admire your daughter, she's straightforward, and doesn't hypocritical, but your son is really a bit. At this point, Qin Feiyang didn't continue because he believed that Wang Shui could understand it herself. Chapter 3109. Hearing this, Wang Shui bitterly smiled. With a son like this, it would be a lie to say that she didn't have a headache. I'll make some tea. Drink while we wait. Wang Shui stood up and smiled. Thank you, auntie. Qin Feiyang smiled. No. Wang Shui waved her hand and quickly left. Fengchen Tower. Just from the name, one would know that it was a brothel located in the East City and was sought after by the rich kids of the East City. Why did it have to be the rich kids of the East City? Because the Alliance City was too big. The hedonistic sons of rich families in the various districts basically sought pleasure in their own territory and rarely went to other districts. Zhao Yang, get out here. Zhao Xiaojin stood at the entrance of the Fengchen Tower with her hands on her hips and fiercely stared inside. With this girl here, Zhao Yang is going to suffer again. He deserves it. Look at Xiaojin, not only is she beautiful, she's also so hardworking. She's already at the peak imperishable realm at such a young age. Look at Zhao Yang. As an older brother, who knows how much older than Xiaojin, he's still only at the peak ninth heaven realm. If it wasn't for Zhao Eryong supporting him, the Zhao family would have been ruined by him. The people on the street immediately stopped and looked at Zhao Xiaojin with admiration, but when Zhao Yang was mentioned, the disgust and disdain on their faces were undisguised. "It's Xiaojin." A brothel keeper ran out with a face full of smiles. "Xiaojin, if you have something to say, why don't you and Zhao Yang go home and talk? Don't cause trouble here. After you caused trouble last time, I didn't have a single customer for half a month. This kind of place should have closed long ago." Zhao Xiaojin sneered. "Look at what you're saying, we're just trying to make a living." The brothel keeper smiled and looked at the two workers hiding at the door. "You two, hurry up and call Zhao Yang out." The two workers looked at Zhao Xiaojin with a face full of fear. They heard about it. They hurriedly ran to the second floor. "Xiaojin, calm down, we have an important person here today, we can't cause trouble." The brothel keeper anxiously waited while comforting the hot-tempered Zhao Xiaojin. "Important person?" Zhao Xiaojin was stunned and said in disdain, "What important person would come to your place? I'm not joking. The one who came this time is 10th Elder's grandson, Feng Wanyan." The brothel keeper whispered. "Feng Wanyan?" Zhao Xiaojin was slightly taken aback. He coldly harumphed, "Who cares whose grandson he is? As long as I don't see Zhao Yang, I'll tear down your Feng Qin tower." Zhao Eryong was a high-level hegemon, and he had always been guarding the border. Thus, the majority of the people in the eastern part of the city treated Zhao Eryong with great respect. Because of this, they were also very polite to Zhao Eryong's family. This was Zhao Yang's capital as a playboy. As for Zhao Xiaojin, there was no need to mention her. Not only was her natural talent outstanding, she was also natural and unrestrained. Almost all the young men in East City regarded her as a goddess. However, how could a talented and beautiful girl like Zhao Xiaojin take a fancy to an ordinary person? Therefore, many of her pursuers were not only unable to win her heart, but were also beaten up badly by Zhao Xiaojin. Not long after, the two workers ran down and looked at the procuress. "Young Master Zhao is not coming down." "What? Not coming down?" The brothel keeper immediately panicked. With Zhao Xiaojin's fiery temper, wouldn't she explode on the spot? As expected, Zhao Xiaojin pushed the procuress aside and angrily stormed into the Feng Qin tower, causing a commotion in the Feng Qin tower. "Goddess Xiaojin, why are you here? If there's anything you need, just tell me and I'll do it for you." A young man with a pale face ran up to her, trying to curry favor. Scram! Zhao Xiaojin glared at him. The young man's neck shrunk back and he immediately ran to the side. "My great aunt, please don't act recklessly, okay?" The procuress chased after her, her face filled with worry. She looked towards a private room on the second floor and called out, "Young Master Zhao Yang, I beg you, please come out." "How troublesome." Zhao Yang's voice sounded from inside. Then, the door opened and Zhao Yang walked out with a displeased expression, looking at Zhao Xiaojin. The young men who were drinking with Zhao Yang also ran out and laughed. "Xiaojin Mimi, it's not appropriate for a girl to come here. Hurry up and go back, don't disturb us men having fun. What do you know besides eating and having fun? A bunch of good-for-nothings." Zhao Xiaojin glared at them, then looked at Zhao Yang and said, "Scram immediately." Hey, hey, hey. Are you the big brother, or am I the big brother? How can you talk to your big brother like that? Do you believe that I'll teach you a lesson?" Zhao Yang said with a dark expression. "Teach me a lesson." Zhao Xiaojin was stunned, and a sinister smile appeared on her face. "What are you trying to do?" Looking at the smile on Zhao Xiaojin's face, Zhao Yang could not help but feel his scalp go numb. That smile was too familiar. Every time it appeared, he would definitely suffer. "What are you trying to do?" Zhao Xiaojin landed in front of Zhao Yang. Zhao Yang turned around and fled. Zhao Xiaojin kicked him, and Zhao Yang immediately fell to the ground like a dog eating feces. He was in an extremely sorry state. Xiaojin Mimi, there are so many people watching. Save some face for your brother. A few young men muttered softly. Are you guys itching for a beating too? Zhao Xiaojin glared at them. All right. Just pretend that we didn't say anything. As long as you're happy. Seeing that the situation was bad, the young men hurriedly retreated. It was best to protect themselves. You're not loyal. Zhao Yang got up, glared at them, and fled. Zhao Xiaojin chased after him and grabbed Zhao Yang's ear. Zhao Yang was only at the peak 9th heaven realm, and Zhao Xiaojin was at the peak undead realm. In front of Zhao Xiaojin, how could he fight back? Ouch, ouch, ouch. Zhao Yang immediately wailed. You can still feel pain. The face of my Zhao family has been lost because of you. Zhao Xiaojin shouted angrily. He picked up Zhao Yang and threw him down the stairs like trash, smashing a table below. Oh my God, can't you go out first? The brothel keeper looked at the messy hall and felt heartache. A table was a small matter, but if this continued, the Fengchen Tower would definitely be torn down. At that time, the losses would be great. Zhao Xiaojin did not say anything and landed in front of Zhao Yang. An elder brother is like a father. You're being disrespectful, be careful of being struck by lightning. Zhao Yang shouted as he retreated. You dare curse me to be struck by lightning? Zhao Xiaojin's face darkened, and she kicked him again. I've heard that Zhao Xiaojin is a bad-tempered woman. Seeing you today, you really live up to your reputation. But at this moment, a faint laugh sounded. Zhao Xiaojin raised her head and saw a purple-clothed youth standing on the 3rd floor. Beside him was a white-clothed youth. Both of them were about 1.8 meters tall. Their figures were tall and straight, and their auras were extraordinary. Young Master Feng, young Master Zhang, you must help me. Otherwise, with this girl's temper, she will definitely tear down my Fengchen Tower. The brothel keeper looked at the two of them as if she had seen her savior. Feng Wanyan. Zhang Sanbao. Zhao Xiaojin frowned. Xiaojin, I haven't seen you for a while, and your temper has risen again. This is not good, be careful that you won't be able to get married. The white-clothed Zhang Sanbao laughed. Whether I can get married or not is my own business. Zhao Xiaojin snorted. Zhang Sanbao said, don't say that. If you really can't get married, I'll marry you. Scram. Why don't you go look in the mirror? Zhao Xiaojin's face darkened. Zhang Sanbao was not angry, as if he was already used to Zhao Xiaojin's temper. However, the purple-clothed youth was unhappy. He glanced at Zhang Sanbao and said, how can a woman be so arrogant? Brother Feng, Xiaojin's temper is like this. Everyone in the East City knows that she is very kind, please don't take offense. Zhang Sanbao laughed. Not just the East City, who doesn't know the genius Zhao Xiaojin? The purple-clothed youth lowered his head and looked at Zhao Xiaojin, saying, do you know who I am? The famous Grand Elder's grandson, who doesn't know Feng Wanyan? You're all jackals of the same tribe, hedonistic, scum. Zhao Xiaojin's face was full of disdain. Feng Wanyan raised his eyebrows and said angrily, you have to make yourself clear, how am I scum? As the grandson of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's 10th elder, who didn't treat him with respect. This was the first time someone dared to be so impudent in front of him. People who come to this place, if they're not scum, then what are they? With that, Zhao Xiaojin kicked Zhao Yang again and shouted, go back. Zhao Yang stood up pitifully and walked out. Stop right there. Feng Wanyan frowned and landed in front of the door. He looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said, this is the first time someone dares to call me scum in public. Brother Feng, this is just a joke, don't be angry. Zhang Sanbao saw that the situation was not good, and hurriedly landed in front of Feng Wanyan and comforted him. Do you think this is a joke? Feng Wanyan glared. Zhang Sanbao's expression froze, and he looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said, Xiaojin, hurry up and apologize to Brother Feng. Him. Zhao Xiaojin's face was full of disdain. Look, look. What kind of attitude is this? Feng Wanyan was furious. She's just like that, please don't take offense. Zhang Sanbao smiled apologetically. Yes, yes, yes. Young Master Feng, Xiaojin's mouth is famous in the East City, don't bother with her. Actually, she's not a bad person. Besides, we're all from the Alliance capital, don't make things difficult for her. The few young men who were drinking with Zhao Yang also hurriedly went up to apologize for Zhao Xiaojin. Feng Wanyan looked at Zhang Sanbao, then at the few young men, and looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said, all right, I'll let you off for everyone's sake, but it's best if there's no next time. However, Zhao Xiaojin did not want to pay attention to him at all, and dragged Zhao Yang out. Look. She didn't even say thank you, Feng Wanyan was furious. All right. It's bad for your body to be angry, I'll accompany you for a few drinks. Zhang Sanbao smiled apologetically as he dragged Feng Wanyan upstairs. I won't let her off. Feng Wanyan snorted coldly. The few young men looked at each other, turned around, and chased after Zhao Xiaojin. What are you guys doing? Zhao Xiaojin turned to look at them, her brows furrowed. Xiaojin, I say, you're too impulsive, why did you go against Feng Wanyan? We've all heard of this person's personality, he's arrogant and can't tolerate the slightest bit of sand in his eyes. He just said that he won't let you off. So, be careful of his revenge. The few young men sighed, looking a little worried. Why would I be afraid of his revenge? Zhao Xiaojin was disdainful. He's definitely not afraid of revenge. But what about his grandfather? It's not like you don't know his grandfather's status in the Alliance capital. With just a word from his grandfather, your family won't have a good life in the future. The few young men said. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin's beautiful brows immediately furrowed, and she said, got it, I'll be careful. All right then. The few young men nodded, looked at Zhao Yang, and said with a smile, Brother Zhao, let's meet again another day. Okay. Zhao Yang nodded. Meet again. I say, can't the few of you work harder? Look at what you've become now. Zhao Xiaojin glared fiercely, as if she expected better from them. The few young men chuckled and ran away. Chapter 31:10. In the attic. Qin Feiyang and Madman drank tea while chatting with Wang Shui. Finally, Zhao Xiaojin brought Zhao Yang back. Wang Shui stood up and looked at the embarrassed Zhao Yang. She couldn't help but be angry and said, you only came back when your sister went to find you. Mother, why are you still fierce to me? She is the one who should be fierce. A girl is so unruly, how can she marry in the future? How can she take care of her husband and children? Zhao Yang pouted. You're still talking. Zhao Xiaojin stared. Zhao Yang shrunk his neck and hid behind Wang Shui. All right, don't you see that there are guests here? Wang Shui looked helpless. Guests. Zhao Yang was slightly stunned. Only then did he notice Qin Feiyang and Madman sitting at the side. He looked at the two of them suspiciously and asked, you are? We are your father's friends. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Liars, definitely liars. Zhao Yang immediately pointed at Qin Feiyang and Madman and looked at Wang Shui and Zhao Xiaojin. What the hell? Qin Feiyang and Madman were stunned. My father is a great mastery dominator, and the two of you are at most imperishable realm. How can you be my father's friends? So you are definitely liars. Tell me honestly, what are you trying to do? Zhao Yang shouted. Qin Feiyang and Madman were speechless to the extreme. Zhao Xiaojin's face also darkened and kicked him on the spot. Why are you kicking me again? Zhao Yang said angrily. Zhao Shaojin said with a dark face, we have already sent a message to father to confirm that they are not liars. They are not. Zhao Yang was stunned, and then smiled awkwardly. Looking at Qin Feiyang and Madman, he waved his hand and said, sorry, it's instinctive. Madman looked at Zhao Yang and transmitted his voice, although this person is a playboy, he is quite fun. Qin Feiyang smiled. He stood up and looked at the three of them. He said, then let's get straight to the point. Right now, I'm going to send you to a place. However, after you enter, don't ask anything. Just stay obediently. What do you mean? Zhao Yang looked at Qin Feiyang confusedly. Wang Shui and Zhao Shaojin were also suspicious. Didn't I just tell you not to ask anything? With that said, Qin Feiyang prepared to send the three of them to the Black Tortoise world. Old Qin, why don't we leave one of them outside? We're not familiar with this place. If you stay outside, you can lead the way for us and tell us about the situation in the Alliance capital. Madman suddenly transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. After pondering for a while, he said inwardly, that makes sense. Then tell me, who should stay outside? Madman looked at Zhao Shaojin and Zhao Yang. What are you looking at? Zhao Yang murmured, why is it getting weirder and weirder? In the end, Madman locked his eyes on Zhao Yang and transmitted his voice, women are too troublesome, let's go with him. But why do I feel that he might be even more troublesome? Qin Feiyang mumbled. Wang. Suddenly, the divine voice transmitting stone was activated. Everyone regained their senses and looked at Wang Shui. Wang Shui took out the divine voice transmitting stone and a figure appeared. It was Zhao Eryong. Father. Sister, she bullied me again. Zhao Yang immediately complained to Zhao Eryong. Father, don't listen to his nonsense. He was the one who went to Feng Chenlu to fool around first. Zhao Shaojin said. Shut up. Zhao Eryong coldly shouted and asked, did you offend someone? What? The brother and sister were stunned. Just now, the 10th elder sent me a message, telling me to immediately return to the Alliance capital to hand in the token and retire at home. Zhao Eryong said in a deep voice. Hand in the token. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and hurriedly asked, is it the token to enter and exit the barrier? Yes. Zhao Eryong nodded. What's going on? Why did the 10th elder suddenly want you to hand in the token and retire at home? Qin Feiyang frowned. This token was extremely important. If Zhao Eryong really handed it over, then he wouldn't be able to leave the barrier in the future. At the same time, Wang Shui and the brother and sister were also stunned. Zhao Eryong looked at Zhao Yang and Zhao Shaojin and said, I'm asking you a question, hurry up and answer. Father, this has nothing to do with me. Its sister, she offended the 10th elder's grandson, Feng Wanyan. Zhao Yang quivered and immediately pointed at Zhao Shaojin and said to Zhao Eryong. So it's like that. I knew it, he wouldn't want me to hand in the token for no reason and retire at home. Zhao Eryong pondered and looked at Zhao Shaojin and asked, Shaojin, how did you offend Feng Wanyan? This, Zhao Shaojin also had a trace of anger between her brows. She didn't expect him to take revenge on her so quickly. As expected, he was scum. Since he didn't have the ability to take revenge, he had the people behind him do it. Speak. Wang Shui also anxiously looked at Zhao Shaojin. Offending the 10th elder's grandson is not a small matter. It's like this, Zhao Shaojin briefly recounted what had happened in the Feng Chen Tower. Why are you so muddle-headed? Feng Wanyan is the 10th elder's grandson. No matter how much of a spoiled brat he is, it's not up to you to criticize him. That's enough, the 10th elder is starting to take revenge. Zhao Eryong was furious. But I'm speaking the truth. He's a spoiled brat, a scum. Zhao Xiaojin coldly snorted. You're being unreasonable. Zhao Eryong fiercely glared at her. Enough, it's not your daughter's fault. It's that Feng Wanyan's fault. He's too narrow-minded to take revenge on you over such a small matter. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's right, he's simply a despicable person. Zhao Yang nodded. You're still talking. If you were willing to obediently come back, would I have gone to Feng Chenlu? If I didn't go to Feng Chenlu, would I have offended Feng Wanyan? In the end, the main culprit is you. Zhao Xiaojin angrily said. Zhao Yang smiled embarrassedly. Enough, you guys can leave first. I have some private matters to discuss with these two little brothers. Zhao Eryong looked at Wang Shui and the siblings and said. You still have something to hide from us? The siblings looked at Zhao Eryong suspiciously. Go out, don't make your father angry again. Wang Shui drove the two of them away. After the three of them left, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and closed the door. Then, he set up a soundproof barrier. Zhao Eryong looked at the two of them and said, if it wasn't for you guys, would be quite happy to go back and retire. I finally have time to accompany my family, but now, speaking of this, Zhao Eryong frowned. I know, this token can't be handed over no matter what. Qin Feiyang nodded. Zhao Eryong said, the 10th elder has already personally spoken, how can I not hand it over? Don't be anxious. Let me think about this first. After saying that, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and muttered to himself. I thought it would go smoothly, but I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Eryong, I really want to beat your son up. Madman looked at Zhao Eryong and said angrily. I also want to beat him up, but he's my flesh and blood after all. I'll teach him slowly in the future. Actually, it's also my fault. I've been busy all these years and didn't have time to discipline him. Zhao Eryong shook his head. At this moment, Qin Feiyang looked up at Zhao Eryong and said with a smile, the one who tied the bell should untie it. For this matter, we have to start with this Feng Wanyan. When Zhao Eryong heard this, he was shocked. Don't tell me you want to kidnap him to threaten the 10th elder. How is that possible? If we kidnap him, won't our whereabouts be exposed? This matter can only be solved with wisdom. Qin Feiyang smiled. Then hurry up and deal with it, because I can't delay it for long. Zhao Eryong urged. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Zhao Eryong turned off the voice transmission stone. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, the barrier dissipated, the door opened, and the voice transmission stone was returned to Zhao Xiaojin. What did you guys talk about with father? Zhao Yang looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin doubtfully. A way to solve the problem. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. How to solve it? Zhao Xiaojin asked. Whoever is playing tricks, of course we have to find that person to solve it. Qin Feiyang smiled. Feng Wanyan. Zhao Xiaojin enunciated each word clearly, then angrily ran out. Xiaojin, don't mess around. Wang Shui's expression changed and quickly chased after Zhao Xiaojin. Auntie, don't worry, we will handle this matter well. You just have to wait for the news at home with peace of mind. Qin Feiyang stopped Wang Shui and said with a smile. But, Wang Shui frowned. Don't worry, we will know what to do. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Looking at the smile on Qin Feiyang's face, Wang Shui inexplicably felt more at ease. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and said with a smile, let's go, we will also go take a look. Sure, let's go take a look at the grandson of the 10th elder and see what kind of character he is. Madman smiled cruelly. I will go too. Zhao Yang roared with a look of wanting to see the world in chaos. That's for sure. Your sister runs so fast, we still need you to lead the way. Let's go. Qin Feiyang smiled. See, I am still useful. Zhao Yang smiled proudly. Still proud? That's the only use you have. Wang Shui rolled her eyes. Zhao Yang's expression froze and he said angrily, "Mother, how can you hit your son like that? All right, go quickly. Look after your sister, with her temper, don't cause any trouble." Wang Shui waved her hand. Understood. Zhao Yang nodded and led Qin Feiyang out of the courtyard, heading towards Fengchen Tower. Fengchen Tower. After a round of cleaning, it was bustling again. On the third floor, in a private room, Zhang Sanbao put down his wine cup and looked at Feng Wanyan opposite him, asking, "Brother Feng, isn't this a bit too much?" "Too much? This kind of woman needs to be taught a lesson." Feng Wanyan sneered. "It's fine to let her suffer a little, but there's no need to target her father. After all, Zhao Er has been guarding the border for so many years, even if he doesn't have any merits, he should at least have worked hard. This is unfair to him." Zhang Sanbao frowned. He had been secretly in love with Zhao Xiaojin for a long time, but Zhao Xiaojin didn't have such feelings for him and only treated him as a friend. But he didn't give up and persisted. So before, he had been helping to smooth things over and speak up for Zhao Xiaojin's family. But this Feng Wanyan was a proud and arrogant person who cared about his face and refused to let Zhao Xiaojin go. Regarding this, he didn't dare to stop him. After all, Feng Wanyan's family background was there. If he angered Feng Wanyan, not to mention Zhao Xiaojin's family, even he and his family would be implicated. Chapter 31:11. Fair. Feng Wanyan sneered, and while drinking from his wine cup, he said, "Brother Zhang, to think that I treated you as a brother, you are actually so childish." Hearing this, Zhang Sanbao's brows furrowed even tighter. Think about it, is there any fairness in this world? If I didn't have a good background, do you think they would be so afraid of me and respect me? If I didn't have a good background, would we be sitting here drinking and chatting right now? If that's the case, I'm afraid that even you would look down on me. Feng Wanyan sneered. No, Zhang Sanbao hurriedly waved his hands. Don't be in such a hurry to deny it. You are the same. If you didn't have a powerful father, I wouldn't be sitting here drinking with you. This is reality. The strong are valued and respected, while the weak can only wag their tails and beg for pity. So, don't be so naive to talk about fairness in the future. There is no fairness in this world. Feng Wanyan laughed mockingly. Yes. What else could Zhang Sanbao say? He could only agree. It seemed that this matter was a bit difficult to handle. Because it was obvious that Feng Wanyan was determined to make things difficult for Zhao Xiaojin's family, and with his status, he was unable to interfere. But he couldn't figure it out. How could there be such a petty person in this world? Was it necessary to make such a big fuss over such a small matter? After all, he was the grandson of the 10th elder, couldn't he be a little more magnanimous? Feng Wanyan, get out here. Suddenly, an explosive shout sounded from outside. Zhang Sanbao immediately trembled, and the wine in his cup spilled out. What was this grandaunt doing here again? Wasn't the matter big enough? At the same time, Feng Wanyan raised his eyebrows. Zhang Sanbao's eyelids twitched slightly, and hurriedly laughed. Brother Feng, calm down, I will go out and chase her away. Wait. Feng Wanyan said. Zhang Sanbao looked at him suspiciously. Feng Wanyan raised his head and drank the wine in his cup, then suddenly stood up and said, Originally, I just wanted to teach her a lesson, so that she would restrain herself a little in the future, but I didn't expect that she would take an inch and take a mile. Since that's the case, then don't blame me for being ruthless. After saying that, he turned around and walked to the door, kicking it open with one foot. What should we do? Zhang Sanbao followed Feng Wanyan anxiously. The two of them walked to the room and stood in front of the railing. They looked down at the hall and saw Zhao Xiaojin standing in the middle of the hall angrily with her hands on her hips. She looked like an angry tigress. The brothel keeper, the girls in the restaurant, and the customers all retreated far away, afraid that they would be implicated. The current Zhao Xiaojin was clearly different from before. When he came to Zhao Yang before, he was just angry, but now he was furious. Everyone understood Zhao Xiaojin. At this time, Zhao Xiaojin absolutely could not be provoked. Zhao Xiaojin, what are you doing now? Hurry up and go back. Zhang Sanbao shouted. Zhao Xiaojin turned a deaf ear to him. He looked at Feng Wanyun and said, I'll take responsibility for my own actions. If you have any means of revenge, come at me. Don't do anything immoral. Revenge? What's the situation? Everyone looked at each other. It wasn't a big deal before, so why was he taking revenge? You guys still don't know. Just a while ago, this 10th elder's grandson, young Master Feng Wanyun, asked his grandfather to make things difficult for my father. Zhao Xiaojin scanned the crowd around him and sneered. What? Just such a small matter and he alarmed the 10th elder? Everyone looked at Feng Wanyun in shock. Isn't this a little too petty? They were all young people, so it was inevitable that there would be some friction. They could just settle it themselves, so why did they have to alarm the 10th elder? He even went to make things difficult for someone else's father. Wasn't that bullying? You all have seen it now, right? This is our 10th elder's grandson. With his actions, he is fully deserving of being called a grandson. Zhao Xiaojin sneered. These words were already quite rude. He directly called Feng Wanyun a grandson and did not give him any face at all. Zhang Sanbao's expression changed slightly when he heard that. He hurriedly looked at Feng Wanyun. His face was indeed extremely gloomy. He immediately looked at Zhao Xiaojin and shouted, Zhao Xiaojin, are you done fooling around? Get lost. Humph. Zhao Xiaojin snorted coldly and turned to leave. Stop. Feng Wanyun spoke, his voice filled with a bone-piercing chill. Zhao Xiaojin stopped and turned to look at Feng Wanyun. He sneered and said, What? Did I touch your sore spot? You're still talking about it? Zhang Sanbao shouted angrily. I'm still talking about it. Zhao Xiaojin also had a stubborn temper. He looked at Feng Wanyun and said, Other than relying on your grandfather to abuse your power, what else can you do? You're just a pile of dog shit. Other than disgusting people, you have no other use. The corners of everyone's mouth twitched. This girl really dared to scold him. Outside the restaurant, Qin Feiyang and Madman had also rushed over. When they heard these words, a wry smile appeared on their faces. It seemed that Zhao Xiaojin was already very restrained in front of them. Zhao Yang, this sister of yours is a bit valiant. Madman glanced at Zhao Yang beside him, only to see that Zhao Yang also had a wry smile on his face. He sighed and said, We're still a step too late. Now that we've completely offended Feng Wanyun, how can our family survive in the alliance in the future? You still know how to worry. I thought that you only know how to eat, drink, and play without a care in the world. Madman looked at Zhao Yang in surprise. What's the point of life if you don't eat, drink, and play? Besides, who told you that eating, drinking, and playing without a care in the world? What kind of logic is that? Zhao Yang rolled his eyes at Madman and looked inside the restaurant. His face was full of worry. In the restaurant, Zhao Xiaojin was overbearing. Feng Wanyun's face was as dark as water. The brothel keeper, the girls in the restaurant, and the guests didn't even dare to breathe loudly. As for Zhang Sanbao, he was also exhausted. How could he help? There was no way to help at all. Not talking. That's true. What I said is the truth. You can't find a reason to refute it. Go back early. The road outside is not easy to walk on. If you accidentally fall and hurt your precious body, our East City can't afford to bear the consequences of the 10th Elder's anger. Zhao Xiaojin sneered and turned to walk outside again. The people blocking the door all retreated to the side and secretly gave Zhao Xiaojin a thumbs up. On one hand, they were all familiar with Zhao Xiaojin and understood him. Although his temper was a bit wild, he was kind-hearted and treated his neighbors well. On the other hand, because of such a small matter, Feng Huanyun alarmed the 10th Elder and made things difficult for Zhao Xiaojin's father. So, they all supported Zhao Xiaojin from the bottom of their hearts. "Did I let you go?" Feng Huanyun said sinisterly as he stared at Zhao Xiaojin's back. Zhao Xiaojin turned to look at Feng Huanyun and said, "I still need your permission to leave. Do you really think of yourself as someone important? My great-aunt, can you take it as me begging you? Don't provoke him again." Zhang Sanbao sent a sound transmission with a worried expression. "This has nothing to do with you, and it's not that I'm being overbearing. He's going too far." Zhao Xiaojin thought. "I know, but," Zhang Sanbao furrowed his brows, but before he could finish speaking, an exceptionally loud voice rang out. "Since young Master Feng is not convinced, then fight one-on-one with Zhao Xiaojin. Whoever's fist is harder will have the final say." The one who spoke was Madman. Everyone looked at Madman in unison. Why were there so many reckless people today? Since young Master Feng was not convinced, then fight one-on-one with Zhao Xiaojin. These words were obviously humiliating Feng Huanyun again. Zhao Yang also did not expect Madman to suddenly say such a thing, and hurriedly shouted in secret, "Why are you joining in the fun? Don't you think it's chaotic enough? What do you know?" Madman rolled his eyes at him and walked into the restaurant. He looked at Feng Huanyun and Zhao Xiaojin and smiled, "The two of you, what do you think of my suggestion?" "I'm very willing, but I'm afraid someone doesn't have the guts." Zhao Xiaojin sneered. Madman's gaze turned and landed on Feng Huanyun, and said with a smile, "Young Master Feng, since we've already said so much, as a man, you can't back down." He could tell at a glance that Feng Huanyun's aura was at the Great Achievement Undead stage. Zhao Xiaojin was at the Great Achievement Undead stage, a small difference. Therefore, under normal circumstances, Feng Huanyun would definitely not dare to fight with Zhao Xiaojin. But now, with Madman's provocation, he had to fight even if he didn't want to. Because if he didn't fight, it would be equivalent to showing weakness, and he would definitely become the joke of the Alliance capital in the future. At that time, everyone would point at him behind his back. "Look at this grandson of the 10th Elder, he didn't even dare to accept a woman's challenge, what a coward. Brother Feng, it's bad for your body to be angry, why bother with a woman?" Zhang Sanbao looked at the gloomy Feng Huanyun and advised with a smile. He was actually giving Feng Huanyun a way out. If Feng Huanyun knew what was good for him, he would nod on the spot and agree with Zhang Sanbao, not arguing with a woman. This way, not only would he be able to get away with it logically, but it would also show his magnanimity. But Feng Huanyun didn't do that. To be more precise, the anger in his heart was about to make him lose his mind. Under the eyes of everyone, she actually provoked him again and again. As the grandson of the 10th Elder, his pride would definitely not allow it. "All right. Let's go outside the city and fight one-on-one." Feng Huanyun nodded word by word, a sharp light flashing in his eyes. Straightforward. Madman clapped his hands, turned his head to look at the people around, and said with a smile, "Then let's go, let's all go and watch the show together. Go go go." At that moment, many busybodies rushed towards the city gate. Zhao Xiaojin glanced at Madman, and also followed him outside. "Tigress, before the battle starts, remember to talk to him about your father." Madman transmitted his voice. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned, and only then did she understand that Madman did this to help create an opportunity for negotiation. Wait. Tigress? Bastard, you actually dare to call me a tigress? Wait. After this lady finishes dealing with Feng Wanyan, I will slowly deal with you. Zhao Xiaojin fiercely glared at Madman, and then left without looking back. It's not certain who will deal with who. Madman laughed secretly. Chapter 31:12. But at this moment, Madman felt a cold gaze sweeping over him. Madman was slightly taken aback. He turned around and saw Feng Wanyan walking over while staring at him coldly. Obviously, Madman's actions had angered Feng Wanyan. But not only did Madman not care, he even smiled and encouraged, "Young Master Feng, good luck." Humph. Feng Wanyan snorted and walked past Madman. Zhang Sanbao also walked over and frowned at Madman. "Are you little Jin's friend?" "You are." Madman looked at him suspiciously. Zhang Sanbao didn't answer and said angrily, "If you are really little Jin's friend, you shouldn't mess around with little Jin." With that, he looked at Zhao Yang and sighed. He didn't stay any longer and quickly chased after Feng Wanyan. Is this person crazy? Madman looked at Zhang Sanbao's back in a daze. Zhao Yang said, "He's not crazy, he's just concerned about my sister." Concerned? Madman was stunned. Yes. He has been secretly in love with my sister for a long time, but my sister has no feelings for him. Zhao Yang pursed his lips. I see. Madman nodded in realization. Let's go. Let's go out and take a look. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. The three of them followed behind the crowd and walked out of the city. Madman looked at Zhang Sanbao's back and asked suspiciously, "Zhao Yang, why do you look like you don't like him? Why would I like a person who has his eyes on the top of his head? Besides, I'm not worthy of him." Zhao Yang snorted coldly. Not worthy of him? Madman was stunned and asked suspiciously, "What do you mean?" Zhao Yang pursed his lips and said, "His name is Zhang Sanbao, the eldest son of our East City Lord. At such a young age, he has reached the immortal perfection stage and has comprehended a kind of law." Law. Qin Feiyang and Madman were stunned. They looked up at Zhang Sanbao's back and really didn't recognize it. I don't like him because of his attitude. Since he likes my sister, shouldn't he be more polite to me? But every time he sees me, it's like he sees a fly and wants to slap me to the clouds. Although I'm useless, I'm not to the extent of being cold. Zhao had a look of disdain. You have some backbone. Madman looked at Zhao Yang in surprise and mocked, you can't blame him. You are too much of a playboy. If it was me, I would stay away too. What do you mean? Have I ever done anything to bully others? Have you done anything that offends the heavens and reason? At most, it's just eating, drinking, and playing. Is that wrong? As the saying goes, everyone has their own ambitions. I like to eat, drink, and play, but that doesn't mean I'm a hedonistic son. Zhao Yang was dissatisfied. Madman. Madman. The madman looked at him in a daze. After hearing these words, this person didn't seem to be the spoiled brat he had imagined. Of course. As a young talent in the East City, what kind of young talent haven't I seen? Zhao Yang smiled proudly. Ah. Madman and Qin Feiyang were stunned. Young talent? Don't insult the word disgrace, okay? However, from these words, it could be seen that Zhao Yang was indeed a distance away from being a young talent. At most, he could be considered an idler. City Gate. As a large number of people poured out of the city gate, the people outside the city were also shocked. Brother, what happened? A black-clothed man stopped a young man and asked. Zhao Xiaojin and Feng Wanyan are going to have a one-on-one duel. Most of us are just here to watch the show. The young man said with a face full of expectation. Zhao Xiaojin. Feng Wanyan. Two people who can't be found at all, why are they going to have a one-on-one duel? As soon as the young man said that, everyone started to ask. It's like this. The young man briefly explained the situation to Qin Nan. So it's like this. Then this Feng Wanyun is really too much. The grandson of the dignified 10th elder only has this little tolerance, isn't he afraid of being laughed at? I support Xiao Jin, she is our East City's genius girl, we definitely can't watch her be bullied like this. That's right, I also support her. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation. Most of the people who entered and exited from the East City gate were from the East City, so they were very familiar with Zhao Xiaojin. Soon, Zhao Xiaojin and Feng Wanyun also walked out one after another. In front of the city gate, there was a vast glacier. Zhao Xiaojin directly took a step out and stood above the glacier. She was dressed in a tight black outfit that accentuated her petite and exquisite figure. Her soft long hair was tied behind her back, making her look extremely capable and experienced. Zhang Sanbao looked at Zhao Xiaojin, and the admiration in his eyes became even stronger. Then, he looked at Feng Wanyun and whispered, "Brother Feng, why don't we forget about it? At this point, if I still retreat, then I'm not a man." Feng Wanyun snorted coldly, and landed in front of Zhao Xiaojin. Qin Feiyang and Madman also walked out from the city gate, and raised their heads to look at the two of them silently. Boom! Zhao Xiaojin's delicate body shook, and a terrifying aura instantly roared out. Perfection undead stage. Feng Wanyun sized up Zhao Xiaojin, and a lecherous smile suddenly flashed across his gloomy face, and said, "It's too boring to fight like this, why don't we make a bet?" A bet? Zhao Xiaojin was slightly stunned, wasn't this exactly what she wanted? She said expressionlessly, "What bet do you think? If you lose to me, you will be my woman and listen to me in the future." Feng Wanyun said. Fuck. So that's what he's planning. Zhao Yang cursed in his heart. At the same time, Zhang Sanbao's expression froze when he heard this. He should have thought that with Feng Wanyun's personality, this matter was not so simple. Perhaps from the beginning, he had already taken a fancy to Zhao Xiaojin, so he targeted Zhao Eryong. In other words, all of this might be Feng Wanyun's plan. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned, and she sized up Feng Wanyun with a strange expression and asked, "You don't have a fever, right? I'm just asking if you dare." Feng Wanyun spoke in an overbearing manner. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Zhao Xiaojin smiled coldly and asked, "But what if I win? If you really win, then you can name any conditions." Feng Wanyun said. "All right. If I win, then ask your grandfather to withdraw the order, and you have to kneel down and apologize to me in public." Zhao Xiaojin spoke word by word, and her words were sharp, and she didn't give him any leeway at all. Kneel down in public? Feng Wanyun raised his brows. "That's right." Zhao Xiaojin nodded and sneered, "If you don't dare, then pretend I didn't say anything." How arrogant. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Feng Wanyun laughed from extreme anger. Then it's a deal, bring it on. Zhao Xiaojin smiled coldly, and her face was filled with provocation. Bang! Feng Wanyun took a step forward, and his aura surged as he threw a punch at Zhao Xiaojin. Zhao Xiaojin smiled contemptuously, raised her slender arm, and pointed at Feng Wanyun's fist. That was right. Just one finger. The two collided with a loud bang. Zhao Xiaojin only used the strength of one finger to send Feng Wanyun flying, and blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. A great achievement Inextinguishable Realm Cultivator is actually competing with a perfected Inextinguishable Realm Cultivator in terms of strength. Isn't he looking for trouble? The crowd below looked at Feng Wanyun and could not help but shake their heads. It seemed that the grandson of the chief elder was a fool. Because only a fool would do such a thing. Whoosh! Zhao Xiaojin sent Feng Wanyun flying with one finger, and then took the initiative to attack. Her attacks were like a storm, so fast that it was too much for the eyes to take in. Obviously, she had to end this boring battle as soon as possible. Bang! Bang! After a while, Feng Wanyan's nose was bruised and his eyes were swollen. He was in a sorry state, and like a meteorite, he smashed into the glacier below. He can't even withstand a single blow. The 10th elder is so powerful, but I didn't expect him to have such a useless grandson. His reputation will be ruined in the future. Everyone shook their heads. Zhao Xiaojin retracted her aura, looked at the shattered glacier below, and said indifferently, "It's over, please keep your promise." After saying that, she flew towards the city gate. Over. Suddenly, a burst of laughter sounded from below the shattered glacier. Zhao Xiaojin was startled, she stopped and looked down. "Zhao Xiaojin, you still treat this young master as trash, do you think you can win just like that? Isn't that too ridiculous?" Accompanied by a loud explosion, the glacier within a radius of tens of thousands of miles directly collapsed. Feng Wanyan rushed out from inside, his entire body filled with hostility. Still not giving up. Zhao Xiaojin raised her eyebrows and coldly snorted, "Then I'll send you down again." She took a step forward and instantly landed in front of Feng Wanyan. Her divine power surged as she slapped out with all her might. Feng Wanyan suddenly raised his head and stared at Zhao Xiaojin. His big hand shot out like lightning and grabbed Zhao Xiaojin's wrist. What? Zhao Xiaojin was shocked, she was actually unable to break free from Feng Wanyan's grasp. And Feng Wanyan's strength seemed to have increased by several times, and was not weaker than her in the slightest. Feng Wanyan's face revealed a lewd smile, and said, "I really like you more and more, I can't wait to press you down on the bed right now, scram." Zhao Xiaojin flew into a rage out of humiliation, and directly kicked towards Feng Wanyan's groin. Damn! When Madman saw this scene, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. What a valiant woman! However, Feng Wanyan seemed to have already expected this. He raised his other arm and grabbed Zhao Xiaojin's ankle again. He laughed, "These legs are so beautiful." As he spoke, he even used his fingers to draw. After being taken advantage of again and again, Zhao Xiaojin was truly angered. Her divine power roared out, and like a huge dragon, it rushed towards Feng Wanyan. Feng Wanyan laughed sinisterly and retreated explosively. With a wave of his hand, a surge of divine power appeared. Boom! The two divine powers collided with a loud bang. The wind whistled and the void distorted. The two of them retreated a few steps at the same time, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Zhao Xiaojin's mouth. What? Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. The perfect immortal Zhao Xiaojin was actually tied with the phenomenal immortal Feng Wanyan. What's going on? Zhao Yang also looked at Qin Feiyang and Qin Feiyang in astonishment. Can't you see? Feng Wanyan's cultivation is not phenomenal immortal. Madman shook his head. Not phenomenal immortal. Then could it be? Zhao Yang was shocked and immediately looked at Feng Wanyan, his eyes filled with shock. This person was actually hiding his strength. Chapter 31:13. Boom! In the next moment, Feng Wanyan, who was high up in the sky, emitted a monstrous aura. What was this aura if not the immortal perfection stage? He actually hid his cultivation. Everyone looked at Feng Wanyan in shock. Including Zhang Sanbao. He was quite familiar with Feng Wanyan, but even he did not know Feng Wanyan's true cultivation. Zhang Sanbao, to think that you said that you like my sister. You actually didn't tell us such an important thing. Zhao Yang came back to his senses and immediately glared at Zhang Sanbao, who was not far away. I don't know either. Zhang Sanbao frowned. Everyone calls him brother, how can you not know? Zhao Yang did not believe it. Forget it if you don't believe me, I'm not in the mood to explain it to you. Zhang Sanbao glanced at Zhao Yang, then looked up at Zhao Xiaojin, the worry on his face growing. Previously, although he was worried about offending Feng Huanyun, at least Zhao Xiaojin would not be in danger. But now, their cultivation was the same. Feng Huanyun was also the grandson of the 10th elder, so he must have some trump cards hidden. Zhao Xiaojin would most likely lose this battle. If she really lost to Feng Huanyun, then she would have to become his woman. At the thought of this, Zhang Sanbao could not help but go crazy. In the sky, Feng Huanyun's face was full of pride, and he said with a smile, "Are you used to everyone calling you a genius girl, so you really think you're a genius?" Zhao Xiaojin frowned. Feng Huanyun had indeed caught her off guard by hiding his strength. However, it was not to the point of lowering her head and admitting defeat. Chirp! She waved her hand, accompanied by a phoenix cry. A huge fire phoenix soared into the sky with mighty divine power. Paragon-level divine art. Feng Huanyun's face was full of contempt, and with a wave of his hand, a black python roared out, revealing its ferocious fangs, and charged towards the fire phoenix. With a wail, the fire phoenix collapsed on the spot. That black python was like a demon, pouncing towards Zhao Xiaojin. "This is, Xiaojin, be careful, this is his heaven-defying divine art, and it's a high-level heaven-defying divine art." Zhang Sanbao's expression changed and quickly reminded her. What? He actually used a high-level heaven-defying divine art? Isn't this clearly bullying our Xiaojin, doesn't have a heaven-defying divine art? Everyone was instantly enraged. The black python roared in the sky, its ferocious might shaking the world. Its bloody mouth seemed to want to swallow Zhao Xiaojin whole. Zhao Xiaojin's pupils contracted. When the black python pounced on him, he used teleportation and narrowly avoided it. However, although she managed to avoid the attack of the black python, a scratch mark was left on her left shoulder. Her clothes were torn, revealing her white skin. Streaks of blood seeped out of the 3 scratches. How is it? It's not too late to admit defeat now, so that you won't suffer any physical pain. Feng Huanyun laughed loudly. You think you're worthy of me admitting defeat? Zhao Xiaojin looked at the wound on his shoulder with disdain. Ugh! Feng Huanyun was stunned. How dare he be so arrogant? Haha, that's what I like about you, conquering a woman like you gives me a sense of accomplishment. Now, have a good taste of despair. Feng Huanyun laughed heartily. With a loud clang, a 5-foot-long spear appeared. The spear was completely black, and the tip of the spear emitted a bone-piercing sharpness. Zhao Xiaojin's face darkened slightly. Because this spear was also a heaven-defying divine artifact. This is too much. Not only did you activate a high-level heaven-defying divine art, you even used a heaven-defying divine artifact. Feng Huanyun, if you really have the ability, then put down these worldly possessions and fight with my sister openly. Zhao Yang roared. Although he was idle, although Zhao Xiaojin often scolded him, although he usually hated this sister of his, it was undeniable that he cared about his family and Zhao Xiaojin. That's right. If you have the ability, then put down these worldly possessions and fight with Xiaojin. Otherwise, even if you win, no one will be convinced. Everyone followed suit and roared. Unfair victory. What a bunch of naive idiots. Feng Huanyun shook his head and sneered. The spear recovered slightly and pierced towards Zhao Xiaojin's chest. Zhao Xiaojin dodged again and again, looking more and more embarrassed. This is the difference between identity and status. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's right. In terms of cultivation, Zhao Xiaojin is the same as Feng Huanyun. In terms of age, this Feng Huanyun is much older than Zhao Xiaojin. Zhao Xiaojin can catch up later, this is enough to prove that her talent is better than Feng Huanyun. But because of the difference in identity and status, Feng Huanyun has a heaven-defying divine artifact and a heaven-defying divine art. Otherwise, it is really hard to say who will win. Frenzy sighed. Indeed, there was nothing fair in this world. For someone like Feng Huanyun, even if he was just waiting for death, as long as he opened his mouth, he would be able to get the divine artifact that others dreamed of. For someone like Zhao Xiaojin, no matter how hard you work, you are still inferior to the other party. Fight back. Why do you only know how to dodge? Is this still your character, Zhao Xiaojin? In the sky. Feng Huanyun held a spear and laughed wildly in high spirits. This spear was only a low-level heaven-defying divine artifact, but for Zhao Xiaojin, it had an absolute suppression. She kept dodging. There were already more than a dozen wounds on her body, and her body was dyed red with blood. Puff! Suddenly, Zhao Xiaojin couldn't dodge in time, and the tip of the spear pierced into Zhao Xiaojin's right shoulder. Zhao Xiaojin's face instantly paled. "Sister, why don't you admit defeat?" Zhao Yang roared. "Yes, listen to your trash brother, admit defeat, and then obediently be my woman. At that time, you can have whatever divine art you want, whatever divine artifact you want." Feng Huanyun smiled and pulled out his spear. Blood gushed out from the wound on Zhao Xiaojin's shoulder like a fountain. But Zhao Xiaojin ignored the wound and stared at Feng Huanyun. "You said my brother is trash. If he's not trash, then what is he?" Feng Huanyun laughed. Being humiliated so openly, Zhao Yang's face was a little embarrassed. Zhao Xiaojin's expression became uglier and uglier, and said, "No matter how useless he is, only I, Zhao Xiaojin, can bully him. Who do you think you are?" Feng Huanyun's smile froze. This woman really has character. Frenzy laughed. Indeed. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although he usually beat and scolded Zhao Yang, no one could erase the care in his heart. There was a good saying, beating is flirting, scolding is love. Zhao Xiaojin's attitude towards Zhao Yang had always been that he expected better from him and hoped that he could work harder. But there was no other way. Zhao Yang was like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. No matter how he beat or scolded him, it was useless. "Who do I think I am?" "Good, good, good. You still have the strength to be arrogant, looks like I'm not ruthless enough." Feng Huanyun came back to his senses, and immediately became angry out of humiliation. He raised the spear in his hand and charged towards Zhao Xiaojin. Zhao Xiaojin took a step back and said indifferently, "So this is your full strength? So what if it is? Can you block it?" Feng Huanyun laughed proudly and shot out another spear. "Looks like you're not only a scum, but also a frog at the bottom of a well. Stupid, ignorant." Zhao Xiaojin's face was full of disdain as he slowly raised his arm. Suddenly, a milky white divine light appeared from his palm. In the next instant, a 3 feet long sword condensed, and a world-destroying sharpness immediately surged out. "This is, the law of light, sword of light." Qin Feiyang and Madman's eyes immediately widened in anger. Even the black-haired old man, who was sitting cross-legged on the city wall, suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the long sword in Zhao Xiaojin's hand in shock. Clang! Zhao Xiaojin grabbed the long sword and faced the long spear. The two divine weapons collided with a loud bang and were actually evenly matched. This, Feng Huanyun's eyes also suddenly widened as he exclaimed, "How do you have a heaven-defying divine weapon? Heaven-defying divine weapon? Are your eyes playing tricks on you? Does this look like a divine weapon?" Zhao Xiaojin sneered. "It's not a heaven-defying divine weapon." Feng Huanyun looked at the long sword in a daze. "You can't even recognize the power of law. Looks like you, the grandson of the 10th elder, are really a frog at the bottom of a well." Madman spoke with undisguised ridicule. "The power of law. Feng Huanyun was shocked as he stared at Zhao Xiaojin in disbelief and roared, "You have already comprehended the power of law." Xiaojin has already comprehended the power of law. Why didn't we know about this? The onlookers below were also surprised. Most of them lived in the East City, and some were even Zhao Xiaojin's neighbors. But comprehending the power of law was such a big matter, yet there was no news at all. Are you very surprised? That's true. For a scum like you who only knows how to rely on your family background, the power of law is something that you will never be able to touch. Zhao Xiaojin had a look of contempt. That's right. She did have the qualifications to look down on Feng Huanyun. Feng Huanyun was older than her and had a better family background than her. He also enjoyed more resources and treatment than her. But she relied on her own efforts to not only catch up to Feng Huanyun in cultivation, but she also comprehended the power of law and left Feng Huanyun far behind. This was her, the genius girl of the East City. The power of law, she's only at the perfect immortal realm, but she actually comprehended the law of light. Feng Huanyun shook his head, finding it hard to accept this fact. Suddenly, he raised his head and roared, "So what if you comprehended the first profundity of the law of light? I have a high-grade heaven-defying divine art, and you are still not my match." With a wave of his hand, the black python appeared again and pounced at Zhao Xiaojin with bared fangs and brandished claws. "You are really pitiful. Apart from the heaven-defying divine items your grandfather gave you, you can't even take out a decent method." Zhao Xiaojin shook her head and pointed her finger in the air. She said coldly, "Holy Radiant Sword." Clang! As the power of law appeared, an even more dazzling and terrifying divine sword appeared out of thin air. What is this? Holy Radiant Sword? This isn't the third profundity of the law of light. Frenzy looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Qin Feiyang also looked at the divine sword floating in front of Zhao Xiaojin with surprise and bewilderment. After repeated identification, he found that it was indeed the third profundity of the law of light, Holy Radiant Sword. Because he had grasped the law of light, he was extremely familiar with the third profundity, Holy Radiant Sword. Unbelievable! Not only did she comprehend the law of light, but she had also comprehended the third profundity. She was indeed worthy of being the genius girl of the East City. Just based on this point, she could crush countless geniuses of the Sky Cloud realm. Chapter 31:14. On the other hand, Feng Huanyun. At this moment, in front of Zhao Xiaojin, he seemed even more insignificant. He was even more embarrassed than a clown. Because the two of them were no longer on the same level. Perfect indestructible, third profound, there's such a genius in the East City, and this old man didn't know it all. What a fool. At the same time. On the city wall, the black-haired old man looked at Zhao Xiaojin and muttered to himself. There was a trace of annoyance and excitement in his eyes. To be able to comprehend the third profound at such a young age, his future achievements would definitely be limitless. In the sky. Zhao Xiaojin grabbed the holy light sword, and divine light shone from her body. Like a holy goddess descending, she slashed at the black python. Boom! With a loud sound, the black python and the holy light sword shattered at the same time. Following that, Zhao Xiaojin waved her hand again and activated the second profound, Sword of Judgment. Clang! She grabbed the Sword of Judgment and landed in front of Feng Huanyun. The Sword of Judgment was placed directly on Feng Huanyun's neck. Feng Huanyun quivered, and only then did he recover from his shock. He raised his head and looked at Zhao Xiaojin in horror. He had never thought that a woman's talent would be so terrifying. He had never thought that one day, he would suffer such a huge humiliation in front of a woman. You've lost. Zhao Xiaojin said coldly. But Feng Huanyun acted as if he didn't hear it, and there was a trace of resentment in his frightened eyes. Zhao Xiaojin raised her eyebrows. Swoosh! Zhang Sanbao flew into the sky and stood beside Feng Wanyan. He looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said with a smile, "Xiaojin, since you've won, put away the sword of judgment." In fact, he couldn't calm down. After being together for so many years, he didn't know anything about Zhao Xiaojin comprehending the power of law. Her talent was even better than his. Because he had only comprehended one power of law, and had only reached the first profound. And Zhao Xiaojin had already reached the third profound. Because of this, his admiration for Zhao Xiaojin became even stronger. Only he, Zhang Sanbao, was worthy of such a woman. Zhao Xiaojin glanced at Zhang Sanbao, and said to Feng Wanyan, "As a man, I hope you'll keep your word." After saying that, she waved her hand, and the sword of judgment immediately dissipated. She turned around and left. But just as Zhao Xiaojin turned around, Feng Wanyan suddenly exploded, the spear in his hand piercing through Zhao Xiaojin's back like lightning, piercing through his lower abdomen. Zhang Sanbao was stunned. Qin Feiyang and the others were also dumbfounded. Even Zhao Xiaojin himself found it hard to believe. He had already lost, and the battle was already over, yet he still dared to launch a sneak attack from behind. "Huh, damned woman, so what if you've comprehended the power of law? Didn't you fall into my hands in the end?" Feng Wanyan's attack succeeded, and he immediately raised his head and laughed loudly. "Brother Feng, you've gone too far." Zhang Sanbao regained his senses, pushed Feng Wanyan back with a palm, pulled out his spear and said angrily. "Too much." Feng Wanyan laughed loudly, and said proudly, "My grandfather is the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's 10th elder, even if I kill her, what can you do to me?" "You," Zhang Sanbao frowned. Feng Wanyan laughed coldly, "What? Do you also want to make an enemy out of me?" Zhang Sanbao lowered his head, his face was filled with panic. He liked Zhao Xiaojin, but he was also afraid of Feng Wanyan's family background. Feng Wanyan took a step forward and snatched the spear from Zhang Sanbao's hands. Zhang Sanbao quivered, and said in a fawning manner, "Brother Feng, little Jin Si of Qi has already been crippled, this matter can also end now." "End? No, no, no. Right now, I have to say it's over. It's useless for anyone else to say it." Feng Wanyan shook his head and sneered. "We're all from the Alliance, why are you doing this?" Zhang Sanbao was burning with anxiety. "Zhang Sanbao, you're just a spineless coward. Scram, don't get in my way." At this time, Zhao Xiaojin, who was standing at the back, suddenly turned around and pushed Zhang Sanbao away. Zhang Sanbao's eyelids twitched, he immediately returned to Zhao Xiaojin's side and said softly, "Little Jin, I'm doing this for your own good, for my own good? With your humble attitude, even I feel embarrassed looking at you." Zhao Xiaojin sneered, he raised his head to look at Feng Wanyan, and sneered, "In front of so many people, you actually dare to do such a thing like sneak attack, you are indeed a well-deserved grandson. You're fucking courting death." Feng Wanyan flew into a rage out of humiliation, the spear in his hand flickered with a faint light, and went straight for Zhao Xiaojin's forehead. "Brother Feng, you can't." Zhang Sanbao stood in front of Zhao Xiaojin, his face full of pleading. "Scram!" Feng Wanyan roared. "If you don't dare to make a move, then scram to the side." Zhao Xiaojin also pushed Zhang Sanbao away once again. Zhang Sanbao was in a difficult situation. In his opinion, he was trying his best to protect Zhao Xiaojin, but why was he not liked by Zhao Xiaojin? Feng Wanyan did not stop, the tip of his spear flickered with a bone-piercing cold light, and the killing intent in his eyes was not concealed. However, Zhao Xiaojin did not retreat, nor did he panic. He stared straight at Feng Wanyan. Even Qin Feiyang and Madman could not help but admire this courage and courage. "What should we do? What should we do?" Zhao Yang, who was beside him, was already sweating profusely. If he did not think of a way quickly, his sister would definitely die. But what could he do? For the first time, he felt his own incompetence. If he was willing to work harder in the past, he would not be in such a state now. In the nick of time, a divine light suddenly swept out from the city wall and struck Feng Huanyun's spear like lightning. Feng Huanyun was immediately forced back. Everyone was stunned and turned their heads to look at the city wall. They saw that the black-haired old man had already stood up and looked at Feng Huanyun with a trace of dissatisfaction. So it was this old man who made a move. Everyone suddenly realized. Ordinary people would definitely not dare to interfere in Feng Huanyun's matters. Zhao Xiaojin came back to his senses and turned to look at the black-haired old man. He bowed and said, "Thank you, Elder Qing. It's fine." Elder Qing waved his hand and looked at Feng Huanyun, "Let people off when possible, don't go too far. Who do you think you are? Are you qualified to teach me a lesson?" Feng Huanyun said angrily. Still arrogant. Madman was surprised. Although this Elder Qing is powerful, Feng Huanyun has his grandfather as his backing, so he naturally won't put Elder Qing in his eyes. In Feng Huanyun's eyes, Elder Qing might just be a gatekeeper. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. A trace of disgust crawled up in Madman's eyes as he pursed his lips and said, "This kind of person needs to be taught a lesson. Since Elder Qing has already made a move, then there's no need for us to make a move. Let's just wait and see." Qin Feiyang thought. If Elder Qing didn't make a move, then they definitely wouldn't sit back and do nothing. But now that Elder Qing had made a move, it wasn't their turn. Facing Feng Huanyun's insults, Elder Qing couldn't help but frown, and said, "If you continue to pester me like this, I don't mind teaching you a lesson on behalf of your grandfather." "You teach this young master a lesson?" "Huh," Feng Huanyun laughed out loud as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. "Elder Qing has always been highly respected in our alliance, don't tell me he doesn't have the right to teach you a lesson." Suddenly, a cold voice sounded. Everyone raised their heads and saw a slender young man in white walking out of the void. "It's him." Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other. That's right. This person was the eldest grandson of the Vice Alliance leader, Yi Tian. It's young Master Yi Tian. Why is he here? The surrounding crowd was also in an uproar. The men treated Yi Tian as their idol, while the women treated Yi Tian as their dream lover. Not only that, Yi Tian was extremely popular. Yi Tian, when Feng Huanyun saw Yi Tian appear, he also trembled, and an indescribable fear emerged in his eyes. Big brother Yi Tian, Zhao Xiaojin was also overjoyed as she ran to Yi Tian with a face full of worship. Big brother Yi Tian. Why did Xiaojin call him big brother? Everyone was suspicious. Because in the Alliance City, almost everyone called Yi Tian young master, and very few people called him big brother. Those who would call him that must be close to him. Xiaojin, you're amazing. It's only been a short time since we last met, and you've already comprehended the third profound. Yi Tian looked at the woman in front of him, slowly raised his big hand, rubbed Zhao Xiaojin's head, and smiled. Everyone was dumbfounded. What was going on? The way Yi Tian looked at Zhao Xiaojin was too gentle, and filled with doting. Furthermore, Zhao Xiaojin had also changed from her previous barbaric self, and was as obedient as a little sheep. At this moment, the one who found it the most difficult to accept was Zhang Sanbao. Zhao Xiaojin had always been a woman he adored, but looking at the relationship between Zhao Xiaojin and Yi Tian, it seemed that it was not simple. A sense of jealousy immediately crept up in his heart. Next was Feng Huanyun. He never thought that Zhao Xiaojin and Yi Tian actually had such a close relationship. Who was Yi Tian? He was the eldest grandson of the Vice Alliance leader. Since young, he had been the focus of the Eastern continent's attention. Now, he was a man who had grasped two types of law force. Not to mention him, even his grandfather, the 10th elder, had to be polite in front of Yi Tian. And now, he actually provoked Yi Tian's woman, and even almost died in his hands. Wasn't this hitting an iron plate? Zhao Xiaojin lowered her head and said, "No matter how powerful I am, I'm not as powerful as you, big brother Yi Tian. What's so powerful about me?" Yi Tian shook his head and laughed bitterly. A figure involuntarily appeared in his mind. The owner of this figure was Qin Feiyang. If one were to talk about being powerful, then this person was truly powerful. Zhao Xiaojin raised her head and looked at Yi Tian suspiciously. Why did she catch a trace of disappointment from big brother Yi Tian's expression? Wait a moment. Yi Tian smiled at Zhao Xiaojin, and then walked step by step in front of Feng Wanyan. Feng Wanyan was extremely nervous, his face was also full of flattering smiles, and said, "Brother Tian, Pa." However, before he could say anything, Yi Tian raised his hand and slapped him on the face. Feng Wanyan's expression froze, and immediately said, "Brother Tian, can you leave me some face? You and little Jean were originally in a fair battle. Since you lost, then as a man, you should accept your loss. But what about you? What did you do? Sneak attack. And it's a sneak attack on a woman. Do you think you still have any face in the alliance?" Yi Tian gave him another slap. Yes, I'm sorry, it's all my fault, I apologize," Feng Wanyan begged for mercy. Previously, he was so arrogant that he didn't even put an old senior like Elder Qing in his eyes. However, at this moment, he was like a little lamb. From this, it could be seen that Yi Tian's prestige in the alliance was not ordinary. Chapter 31:15. Apologize to Elder Qing. Yi Tian retreated to the side and pointed at Elder Qing. Feng Wanyan covered his face and ran to Elder Qing. He lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry. Kneel down and apologize." Yi Tian said, "Kneel down." Feng Wanyan froze. If it weren't for Elder Qing and the other seniors who risked their lives to fight for the Rogue Cultivator Alliance back then, would you have such a good life now? Yi Tian raised his eyebrows and landed in front of Feng Wanyan. He raised his hand and slapped him again. I'll kneel. Feng Wanyan hurriedly knelt in the air and looked at Elder Qing. "Elder Qing, I'm really sorry. I'll definitely change in the future. It's great that you can change your mistakes. Get up." Elder Qing smiled. "Thank you, Elder Qing." Feng Wanyan was extremely grateful. Finally, he didn't have to be beaten up. Yi Tian said again, "Kneel down and apologize to Xiaojin." Feng Wanyan froze. Yi Tian said, "This is your bet with her. A man must keep his word." Feng Wanyan clenched his fists. He was convinced that he would kneel down to Elder Qing. After all, as Yi Tian said, these were all seniors. But Zhao Xiaojin was a woman and she was of the same generation. If he kneeled down to a woman of the same generation, how could he face others in the future? "Brother Yi Tian, forget it. As long as his grandfather doesn't make things difficult for my father, it's fine." Although Zhao Xiaojin was a little wild, she wasn't stupid. If she really made Feng Wanyan kneel in front of everyone, she would have to be wary of Feng Wanyan's revenge at all times. So, she might as well act magnanimous and gain a good reputation for being magnanimous. Indeed. As soon as she said that, everyone gave Zhao Xiaojin a thumbs up. Even Elder Qing was full of praise. "All right then." Yi Tian nodded and smiled at Zhao Xiaojin. He looked at Feng Wanyan and said, "Why aren't you thanking Xiaojin? She has already given you enough face this time." "Thank you, Miss Xiaojin." Feng Wanyan looked at Zhao Xiaojin and smiled. No need. Zhao Xiaojin waved her hand as if she was driving a fly away. Feng Wanyun smiled bitterly and retreated to the side. He glanced at the crowd below and his gaze suddenly locked onto Madman. Sensing Feng Wanyun's gaze, the madman's brows twitched as he muttered inwardly, "Kid, you better have some discerning eyes. Don't provoke me." Simultaneously, Yi Tian took out an Essence Divine pill and passed it to Zhao Xiaojin. "Thank you, brother Yi Tian." Zhao Xiaojin happily received the Origin Divine pill. The Essence Divine pill was used to repair the Qi Si. Its effect was many times stronger than the Spirit Sea pill. Looking at Zhao Xiaojin's expression, it seemed that he was unwilling to consume it. "What are you doing?" Yi Tian looked at her suspiciously. Nothing. Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly waved his hand, looking a little flustered. He quickly stuffed the Yuanhai Divine pill into his mouth. "All right then, I'll head back first. As for your father, the 10th elder doesn't have the final say. My grandfather has to make the decision." Yi Tian smiled. The meaning behind his words was very clear. He was going to get involved until the end. "All right." Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Yi Tian smiled at Elder Qing, then entered the Alliance capital without looking back. Zhao Yang quickly flew up and looked at Zhao Xiaojin suspiciously. He asked in a low voice, "Sister, when did you know him?" "None of your business." Zhao Xiaojin immediately frowned. Zhao Yang shrunk his neck and muttered unhappily, "If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Why are you so fierce?" Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and couldn't help but shake their heads and laugh. As expected, he had returned to his original nature. Elder Qin took a few steps forward and looked at Zhao Xiaojin with a hoarse smile. "You're Zhao Eryong's daughter, right?" "Yes." Zhao Xiaojin nodded respectfully. Not bad. Zhao Eryong has a good daughter." Elder Qin chuckled. "Elder Qin, you flatter me," Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly waved his hand. "I'm not praising you. It's the truth. To be able to comprehend the power of law and the third profound at the perfected year undead realm, with your talent, it's not an exaggeration to say that you're the best in the Eastern continent. I was really blind in the past. I actually didn't notice it at all. Don't worry, I'll report it to the deputy leader." "No. With young Master Yi Tian's appearance, it seems that I don't need to report it. Xiaojin, just go home and wait for the good news." Elder Qin laughed hoarsely and then returned to the city wall. "There's nothing to see. Everyone, disperse." Then, he sat cross-legged on the city wall and slowly closed his eyes. "Xiaojin, I didn't expect you to hide it so well. Even us neighbors don't know about it. Are you afraid that we'll be jealous?" Everyone gathered around Zhao Xiaojin. No. I just don't think it's a big deal, so I didn't say it." Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly waved her hand. "This is not a big deal. You're really broad-minded, girl. This is great. With your talent, you can definitely enter the Hall of Fame." Everyone was talking at once, and their faces were full of smiles. Hall of Fame. I think I'm still lacking. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. "Not bad, more than enough." Everyone waved their hands. "What's the Hall of Fame?" Madman looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "How would I know?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. However, looking at everyone's envious eyes, the Hall of Fame should be a very powerful place. Clang! Suddenly, the sound of a gunshot suddenly exploded in the void. Everyone suddenly quivered and looked at Feng Wanyun. Why hasn't he left yet? Feng Wanyun glanced at Zhao Xiaojin, then lowered his head to look at Madman, and said, "Brat, this young master wants to challenge you." "Ha!" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Challenging senior brother Madman? Is this person crazy? The others also looked at Madman in unison. Why is he challenging this person? That's right. At that time in Feng Chen Tower, it was this person who ran out and proposed for Zhao Xiaojin and Feng Wanyan to fight one-on-one. And now, Feng Wanyan had fallen to such a sorry state, so naturally, he wouldn't let this person go so easily. However, this person had a small success in perishable realm cultivation. His appearance was also ordinary, as if there was nothing outstanding about him. Zhao Xiaojin raised her eyebrows and looked at Feng Wanyan. Have you had enough? The person this young master is challenging is him. What does it have to do with you? Don't think that just because you have some relationship with Brother Tian, you can control the world. Feng Wanyan sneered. Zhao Xiaojin couldn't help but frown. Madman sighed. There really are people who aren't afraid of death. Don't make a move. Your evil force is unique. Once you make a move, you will definitely expose our identities. Qin Feiyang transmitted. Then I won't use my evil force. Madman took a step forward and landed in front of Feng Wanyan, smiling. After suffering a loss at Zhao Xiaojin's hands, you came to me to look for face. You really know how to play. Cut the crap. If you lose, kneel down in front of everyone and kowtow to apologize. The spear in Feng Wanyan's hand trembled, and a monstrous sharp aura suddenly surged out. Madman had his hands behind his back, his eyes filled with ridicule. Are you stupid? Hurry up and get out of the way. Pretending to be calm and standing there, are you waiting for death? Zhao Xiaojin glared at Madman. Pretending to be calm. Madman was stunned. Does this look like I'm pretending? What kind of eyes are you looking at? Seeing that Zhao Xiaojin seemed to be concerned about Madman, Zhang Sanbao frowned and ran over with a smile. Xiaojin, you really know him? N. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Zhang Sanbao asked suspiciously, then who is he? I've never seen him before. Aren't you annoying? Zhao Xiaojin glared at him. Zhang Sanbao smiled bitterly and stood at the side. Looking at the motionless madman, his eyes flashed with a trace of gloominess. First, it was Yi Tian, and now this person appeared. They were all people that Zhao Xiaojin cared about, and he was unwilling to accept it. Thinking back to all these years, he had been very concerned about Zhao Xiaojin, but Zhao Xiaojin had never revealed even a trace of concern for him. So, the more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and he almost couldn't help but hate. I'll defeat you in one move. Feng Wanyan sneered at Madman, his spear emitting a black light, like a black python, piercing towards Madman's forehead. Who doesn't know how to brag? That depends on whether you have the ability or not. Madman laughed, and a divine thunder roared out from his body, shattering the void. This is, Zhao Xiaojin's pupils shrank. Zhang Sanbao was also shocked. Elder Qing, who was sitting on the city wall, opened his eyes again and stared at the divine thunder around Madman's body. This was the law of thunder. Boom! Crack! The divine thunder was like a heavenly tribulation descending, condensing into a hammer. The second profound of the law of thunder, thunder god's hammer, understand. Madman grinned, grabbed the thunder god's hammer, and smashed it towards the spear. With a loud clang, the spear shattered on the spot. After all, this spear was only a low-level heaven-defying divine artifact, and it was much weaker than the second profound. At the same time, Feng Wanyan's entire body was also sent flying by the huge force, blood gushing out of his mouth. The arm that was holding the spear was also shaken to the point of flesh and blood flying everywhere. The second profound of the law of thunder. What's going on? Usually, we don't see a single monster like this. Why did two appear in a row today? Everyone was shocked. Elder Qing was the same. A small success immortal realm cultivator had actually comprehended the second profound. This talent seemed to be even better than Zhao Xiaojin's. Needless to say, Feng Wanyan was even more so. He originally wanted to pick a soft persimmon to vent his anger and regain some face, but he didn't expect to hit an iron plate again. When you looked at me just now, I said in my heart that you'd better have some eyesight and don't provoke me. Unfortunately, your eyesight is not good enough. Now, not only did you not regain your face, you even lost more face. What is this called? Oh right, you're asking to be humiliated. Madman's face was full of ridicule. Feng Wanyan's face was extremely ugly. Today was simply the biggest humiliation of his life for him. Enough, let's stop here. Qin Feiyang stepped in front of Madman and stopped him. He transmitted his voice to Feng Wanyan, trust me, don't make trouble, or you'll lose even more face later. Feng Wanyan gloomily looked at Qin Feiyang, then glanced at Madman. He put away the fragments of the spear, turned around, and flew away. Brother Feng, I'll send you off. Zhang Sanbao hurriedly chased after him. What are you doing? I still want to teach him a lesson and teach him a lesson. Madman looked at Qin Feiyang with dissatisfaction. Come on, you. You're a small success immortal realm cultivator. It's already shocking enough that you revealed the second profound. If you reveal the third profound, I'm afraid it will arouse suspicion. Because now everyone in the Eastern continent knows that the two of us are small success immortal realm cultivators and have both mastered the third profound. If they think of something, won't we be finished? Qin Feiyang thought. Although he had the identity token given by Zhao Eryong, it couldn't withstand scrutiny. Because there was no information about the two of them in the Alliance capital. Therefore, it was better to keep a low profile. It was not a good thing to attract too much attention. Chapter 31:16. Alright. Being too talented is also a problem. Madman dispersed the Thor's hammer, withdrawing the law of thunder into his body, looking as lonely as snow. Qin Feiyang wanted to slap him. I didn't see it. You actually comprehended the law of thunder. Zhao Xiaojin walked in front of Madman and said in surprise. Of course. Who am I? The number one monster of the Alliance capital. I just wanted to keep a low profile. Madman smiled proudly. Number one monster of the Alliance capital. Zhao Xiaojin's mouth twitched. The others couldn't help but roll their eyes. This guy really dared to brag. Who didn't know that the number one monster of the Alliance capital was Yi Tian? At this time, Elder Qin waved at Madman and Zhao Xiaojin and smiled, you two come here. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled, and he transmitted his voice to Madman, don't show any flaws. Got it. Madman replied and followed Zhao Xiaojin to Elder Qin. Elder Qin looked at Madman and asked, what's your name? Mo Wuhui. Madman replied. Mo Wuhui. Elder Qin pondered for a while and frowned, why haven't I heard of this name? I'm just a small success immortal realm cultivator, so how could you know me? Madman smiled embarrassedly. That's true. Elder Qin nodded and smiled, you're even more low-key than Zhao Xiaojin. I can't help it. Zhao Xiaojin has a father to protect him, and I only have a brother. We brothers depend on each other, so we have to keep a low profile. Just like today, if we accidentally offended someone like Feng Wanyan, we wouldn't even know how we died. Madman said with a face full of grievance. That's true. Elder Qin nodded, his face full of sympathy. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, he's your brother? Yes. My brother is called Mo Wuyuan. Madman nodded. All right. Work hard, and I'll report it to the higher-ups and see if I can help you get a spot in the Hall of Fame. If you can enter the Hall of Fame, then no one will dare to bully you. Elder Qin smiled. Thank you, Elder Qin. The madman bowed with a grateful look on his face. Why are you thanking me? Discovering and nurturing talents is what we should do. Elder Qin waved his hand and smiled. Madman sighed. If only everyone in the Alliance capital was like you. Listen to what you're saying. No matter where you go, there will always be some bad people. But in the end, good people still make up the majority. Elder Qin smiled. Yes, yes, yes. Madman nodded. All right then, let's establish a contract bridge so that we can contact you when the time comes. After Elder Qin finished speaking, he looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said with a smile, take out the divine sound transmission stone as well. The two of them took out the divine sound transmission stone and established a contract bridge with Elder Qin. Then you can go back first. Elder Qin smiled. All right. The two nodded respectfully. Then, they turned to Qin Feiyang and Zhao Yang and said, let's go. The two of them hurriedly followed. He entered the city again. Many people began to look at Zhao Xiaojin in awe. First, it was because of her own strength. Second, it was because of her relationship with Yi Tian. Zhao Yang moved closer to Zhao Xiaojin and said with a flattering smile, sister, just tell me, when did you meet Yi Tian? If he didn't figure it out, he would feel uncomfortable. Can you shut up? Zhao Xiaojin glared at him impatiently. I'm your brother. Zhao Yang pouted. You're my brother, yes, but what have you done for me? I'm the one who helps you clean up the mess outside all day. Zhao Xiaojin snorted coldly. Yes, yes, yes. My sister is the best, she's simply a little fairy. Zhao Yang chuckled. Zhao Xiaojin burst out laughing. She then glared at Zhao Yang and said, Big brother Yi Tian and I met on my 16th birthday. What the hell? You met at the age of 16. Zhao Yang was stunned. N. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. You're good, hiding it from us for so many years. The corner of Zhao Yang's mouth twitched. At the age of 16, she was still a young girl. Although Zhao Xiaojin looked young now, she was an old antique who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Brother Yi Tian didn't let me say it. He said that if everyone knew that I knew him, it would definitely bring a lot of unnecessary trouble. So we've been secretly meeting. Zhao Xiaojin said. It's a secret rendezvous, right? I was wondering why you looked down on Zhang Sanbao. It turns out that you already have someone in your heart. Zhao Yang pouted. Don't talk nonsense. Zhao Xiaojin blushed and glared at him fiercely. Okay. Anyway, I don't like this Zhang Sanbao. He flatters, and has no backbone at all. Yi Tian is still the best. If I become his brother-in-law, won't I be able to do whatever I want in the alliance in the future? Zhao Yang rubbed his hands with a yearning look. Brother-in-law, you're thinking too much. Qin Feiyang shook his head. You're jealous of me, I won't argue with you. Zhao Yang smiled proudly. Jealous? Qin Feiyang shook his head, looked at Zhao Xiaojin, and said with a smile, I can see that you really like Yi Tian. Zhao Xiaojin's face turned red instantly. Qin Feiyang changed the topic and said, but I can also see Yi Tian's attitude towards you. Zhao Xiaojin immediately looked at Qin Feiyang. The way he looks at you, when Qin Feiyang said this, he seemed to have thought of something beautiful and couldn't help but reveal a trace of a smile on his face. Say it. Zhao Xiaojin urged. Qin Feiyang glanced at Zhao Xiaojin, shook his head, and said with a smile, forget it, I'd better not say it lest it hurts you. Why are you like this? You're only saying half the words. Aren't you keeping me in suspense? I have to say, I'm not afraid of being hurt. Zhao Xiaojin said angrily. All right. The way Yi Tian looks at you is like looking at a cute little sister. So in Yi Tian's heart, he only sees you as a little sister and has no other thoughts. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. You don't say, that's really the case. The way he looks at Zhao Xiaojin is the same as how you look at Fire Lotus and Shengguanqiu. Madman secretly said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, that's why I can clearly feel it. At the same time. When Zhao Xiaojin heard this, her body stiffened slightly, but she quickly returned to normal and said unhappily, "You don't have the fiery eyes of truth, how can you see it with a glance? The emotions in the eyes can't be hidden, it's just that you're in it and didn't notice it." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin pursed her lips, "Even if what you said is true, I'm still very satisfied to be Big Brother Yi Tian's little sister. It's best if you have such thoughts, lest you and Yi Tian get hurt in the future. In any case, feelings can't be forced. Otherwise, in the end, not to mention siblings with different surnames, we can't even be friends." Qin Feiyang laughed. "You seem to know a lot about feelings." Zhao Xiaojin looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. "Me?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head with a smile. "Consider it as an experienced person speaking." "Experienced person? You're already married?" The brothers all looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. "Is there a problem?" Qin Feiyang didn't understand. "There's a problem." Zhao Yang mumbled as he carefully sized up Qin Feiyang from head to toe. "What problem?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Look at you, you don't have talent, you don't have strength, you don't have talent. Let's not talk about others first, let's talk about me. Look at your appearance, you can't even reach 1/3 of my handsomeness, how can there be a woman who likes you? This woman must be blind, or she's a dinosaur-level woman. Yes. That must be the case." Looking at Zhao Yang shaking his head and feeling good about himself, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but want to laugh. To be honest, this person was quite amusing. Zhao Yang looked at Qin Feiyang's silence and chuckled, "Am I right?" "Yes, yes, yes. Young Master Zhao is talented and intelligent, I admire you." Qin Feiyang chuckled. Zhao Yang smiled proudly, then pulled Qin Feiyang to the side and said in a low voice, "Brother, don't be discouraged, there's no rule in this world that says a married man can't have fun outside, right?" "What are you trying to say?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "What I want to say is, I'll bring you to the Fengchen Tower to have fun one day, I guarantee that you'll be satisfied." Zhao Yang chuckled. "Eh?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "No need to thank me, we're brothers, we share blessings and misfortunes." Zhao Yang hooked his arm around Qin Feiyang's neck, his head held high and his chest puffed out, looking quite comical. "Do you want to bring me to have fun too?" Zhao Xiaojin pinched Zhao Yang's ear and laughed maliciously. "Why would a girl like you go?" Zhao Yang hurriedly shouted. "You're still talking about it?" Zhao Xiaojin gritted her teeth. I'll stop. Zhao Yang waved his hands and begged for mercy. "You're a good-for-nothing and you want to lead others astray. I really want to kick you to death." Zhao Xiaojin's face was filled with anger. These siblings are really a pair of enemies. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. "You don't say, it's quite fortunate to have a sister like her to take care of me." Madman transmitted his voice. "You mean, Zhuo Xiaoxian isn't strict enough with you? Okay, when we return to the Black Tortoise world, I'll find her and discuss this." Qin Feiyang smiled mockingly. "Scram! I'm talking about my sister, not my wife." Madman rolled his eyes and pondered for a while before transmitting his voice. "Tell me, what is my background?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Madman asked, "Then tell me, do I have any brothers or sisters?" "Yes, I'm your brother." Qin Feiyang smiled. Madman glared at him unhappily, but his heart was warm. What would the future be like? But at least now, he wasn't alone. Along the way, the siblings played around and finally returned home. "Are you guys alright?" Wang Shui immediately came up to them, her face full of concern. "I'm fine." Zhao Xiaojin shook her head. "But why are there so many blood stains on your body?" Wang Shui looked at Zhao Xiaojin who was covered in blood and frowned. Mother, it's really nothing serious. I'll go wash up. You can properly entertain these two guests. Zhao Xiaojin smiled mischievously at Wang Shui and ran into the house.